It's just something's not quite right. Change? Nope, not change. Man, my acne looks so good today. Yeah, this is what I want. Is that what I want? I don't know what I want. I feel like just the video is always awkward. Like the lighting is weird, which is weird because if I look at it and it's like not on Twitch, okay, I feel like that's the most vibe that I've had so far. When I'm looking at it and it's not on Twitch, it doesn't look weird. If I open it in like a different browser or whatever. But I'm gonna just wait a couple minutes for people to be here. Per usual, I'm gonna be on TikTok. Oh, my phone's dying. That's good. Perfect. Loving that for me. Yay. Let me turn my notifications off. I just get so rattled when I get notifications. Oh my god, there's 19 people here. Hey everybody, I'm actually on time today. I'm really proud of myself for being on time. It's because today was my first day out of training for my new job. So like when I was in training, I had to be there from, what time is it? 9 to 5:30. But now that I'm out of training, it's a little more flexible. So I only have to, or I have the same amount of time. I have to be there from 8:30 to 5. So I got home earlier today. So I'm actually on time. I'm going to keep like fucking with my video a little bit. I'm trying to just like turn that. I'm just so pale. And that doesn't help. That absolutely doesn't help. Okay. That's fine, I guess. Oh, no. Why would I want like x-ray filters? I guess like people who do like games and shit are on this app, website, whatever this is. Yes, you can subscribe now. So actually my stupid, I need to stop insulting myself. I'm going to therapy and that's one of the things I want to work on is not insulting myself. Last stream, I was like, oh, you can subscribe now, but you absolutely couldn't. And I thought I set it up, but apparently something was wrong with my tax information. But I fixed it, and now you can subscribe because you can't have subscribers till they have your tax information so that you like pay taxes on money, which is very understandable. I'm all about being in compliance with the law. This is a message to the IRS. Please don't come after me. But yeah, so you can subscribe now. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, welcome to That's Unethical. We're here on Mondays now. I'm going to start streaming twice a week. So I used to do this every other Wednesday. Now it's going to be every Monday, and I'll be doing history stuff on Wednesdays. So this Wednesday, your hair looks so good. Thank you. One of the things that I really like about my new haircut is that when I put my hair in a bun, it like does this. Like when it's out of the bun. Like I had it in a bun all day at work and I just took it down and didn't brush it or anything. God is really blessing me. But anyway, what was I talking about? I don't remember. Oh, yes, I do. So on Wednesday, we're going to be doing history stuff. And on Wednesday, I'm going to be teaching about the mafia and prohibition and like the temperance movement. I just like went backwards in time and all that stuff. So I'm really excited that I get to stream more often now. Oh my God, so many people just subscribed to me. Thank you. I had 2 and I was really excited about that. I was like texting my sister and I was like, I have 2 subscribers. And she was like, that's 2 more than me, bitch. Hi. Okay, let's get into it. It's 7:30. I'm so on time. I used to be a really on time person. And then for like the last 2 months, I've been like late to everything just because I've been like not well. And I'm becoming an on time person again. Like I was on time to work today, you guys. To work. I'm going to try and turn that guy down. There we go. That's too bright. Okay. I'm happy. My video looks a lot better now. Every time I edit it, it says 0 viewers, and it stresses me out because I always think that I broke something. Okay. Let's do it. Let me make my little screen smaller. I was on time, but I was unprepared. Per usual. Okay. I'm gonna move you over there. Wait, why is the chat not showing up? What the fuck? I'm gonna fix it. I hate how messed up this gets. I don't know why the chat is like always a problem on these. It always disappears. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and I always just delete it and put it back, and then it comes back. But yeah. Hopefully you say that every stream. I know, because I don't know what's wrong with it. Okay. So yeah, we're here twice a week now. Live, laugh, love. Let's get into it. So I show this exact same slide every time, but this is kind of like the reason that I'm doing this, the reason why I'm here. One, I love to gossip. I just like to know things. Do you use OBS or Streamlabs? So Twitch actually has their own streaming software now. Like, I was prepared to have to like do something and like learn something, but Twitch was like, we have a very basic one for free. So I've just been using that, and it's like, it's very basic, but for what I'm doing, there's stuff on here I don't know how to use, and I've never like wanted something and it's not been there, if you get what I'm saying. So, love the hot goss. So one, I like to know things. I saw so much insane shit, want to see if other people have seen it. Two, I want other people to know. Anytime I spoke in like social circles outside of school, people are like, this shit is crazy. Three, I wanted to give people a way to share information, because I know when I was in the classroom, like, things would happen, and I was like, I want to talk about this on TikTok so fucking bad. Like, I want to talk about this on TikTok so fucking bad, but I just can't. Like, I just felt like I couldn't. And then four, I want to hold people accountable, because you shouldn't be able to do illegal, shady things. Also, newest member of the team, so we all need to say thank you to Evie. Evie is the reason that you are now getting Monday and Wednesday streams, because, like, obviously I have to make slide decks. Like, they don't just, like, come out of the sky. So that's why I was only doing once a week, because I would, like, make the slides or the Nearpod or whatever on Sunday and then stream on Wednesdays, and it was just, like, I couldn't make 2 a week, you know? So Evie is another creator. Their is on this slide. So they are making the slides for the Monday stuff. I'm still making the history Nearpods, but they are making the slides for like what you're about to look at. So yeah, if you want to follow them on TikTok and on Insta, that is there. The Doobie Fairy. Adobe? I don't know how to talk. But yeah. All the love, all the thanks. Thank you. So let's get into it. I did make the memes though. They made the slides, they did the copy paste, they created the titles, but I did make the memes. May or may not have made them at work. Okay, so SoCal admin, meaning Southern California. I'm an ASB teacher, student government teacher for high school. I get to dip my toe into the teacher world and the admin world because of this. And the admin district shit I've dealt with is insane. One of my students were asked to help prep, decorate, and prepare speeches for the grand opening of our wellness center. I asked them if they were sure that maybe they should hire a professional company. They want it to be fully student-centered event. They were told a week in advance, and these poor babies worked their asses off. Bro, these schools be putting these kids to work. That's one thing that I think we need to discuss. Worked their asses off. The morning of, they showed up at school at 6 a.m. to get it all decorated. The event was at 10 a.m. When we showed up at 10 a.m. for the actual event, most of their decorations were gone and in the trash can to the side. I asked one of the district administrators what happened, and they said the decor didn't match the vibe, so they threw it away. The looks on my kids' faces I'll never forget. This shit, like, breaks my heart. They brushed it off the best they could and put smiles back on their faces in order to prep for speeches. These speeches were to explain how this wellness center was going to help their mental health struggles at school. A couple minutes before they were supposed to go on, we noticed that it skipped from the superintendent's speech straight to the closing remarks, right past all the kids' speeches. Their speeches were literally scheduled and on the printed programs everyone had. I once went up to the admin who was in charge and asked why they skipped them, and the kids were waiting. They simply said, these kids are here as photo props for the news. They can read their speeches on the announcements or something. This was literally a grand opening for a student wellness center to help with their mental health. I'm currently in the process of leaving as well because it's too much, and there are a million more where that came from. I'll happily continue resubmitting whenever I remember things. This happens all the time, and it happened at a high school in the Inland Empire, Southern California. That's like kind of outside LA. I looked it up on a map. So that's fucking evil. Content warning, also big shout out to Evie for these. This is something that I'm not great about because, like, I don't know. I think I'm just really desensitized to things. So sometimes I read something and I'm like, Okay. So they helped out with putting in all the content warnings. The chat is so different now. There's so many more things. I'm literally such a fucking boomer. Like, it's like level 1 hype train emote. This is why people make fun of Gen Z, you guys. Like, we literally deserve it. Like, at my work, I'm getting roasted for being a Gen Zer. Truly roasted. And, like, this chat is why we deserve it. Love it, though. Yeah. That one was really bad. I feel like, hold on, I just want to backtrack a second. That submission was really bad, that they threw away the kids' art and then didn't let them talk and use them as photo ops for a wellness center that's for the kids. That's not sitting right with me. Okay. Wonder why it's so overstimulating. No wonder why my kids are the way that they are. I'm a millennial and feel more boomer every day. No, literally, I am a boomer. Like, it's really a problem. Like, I feel like a boomer whenever I use my iPad, especially. I don't know. I think my iPad just brings out the boomer in me. Okay. I have Dr. Pepper stuck in my throat. A lot of my hair keeps falling out. Like, I don't know how I'm not bald. So much of it comes out every day. And it's always happened. Do you work with more millennials now compared to teaching? So when I was teaching, I was working with, like, a variety of age groups. Like, I worked with not really many Gen Z people, but a couple new teachers that I taught with this year. I worked with some millennials, lots of Gen X, some boomers. Like, it was a variety. And now I would say my workplace is, like, predominantly millennial. One could say aggressively millennial. I would dare to go that route even. But yeah, oh shit. There we go. But yeah, lots of millennials, lots of memes in the Slack chat, which is cool. I don't know, like, what's happening in the background of my apartment right now. I'm sorry if you can hear, like, I don't even know what that is. Okay, so Massachusetts admin. My boyfriend has my debit card. I'm big sad. I have to wait until he's home to subscribe. Thank you. Make your boyfriend pay for it. Use his debit card. This is long. 3 separate stories that represent a pattern of behavior from one administrator. At my former school, I unfortunately had a student die by suicide. It was my second year as his teacher, and he was in a small class, all of whom had me together the year before, so it was really traumatic for me and the kids. He had an older brother, a senior, who my coworker had all 4 years of his high school career. The 2 of us asked for 2 class periods off to attend the funeral to support the kids. Admin acted shocked, and we asked, and like it was a huge inconvenience. They only gave us 1 class period and told us we had to be back to teach the next day because they didn't have coverage. We ended up sitting with a group of seniors who came without parents and had no idea how Catholic Mass and communion worked or a funeral in general. They were so relieved that we were there to guide them. My husband, it's again, same person, second story that they have. My husband ended up getting a job later. Sorry, I had to burp. I ate pizza rolls like right before this, which might not have been the wisest decision. My husband ended up getting a job later that school year out of state, and I told my admin months before the end of the year to give them time to post the job early and find my replacement. When I started interviewing, I asked every time if I could do a phone or Zoom interview, but this was pre-COVID, so they always said no. I was the only one taking the day off. I was taking only 1 day off to interview. I'd leave after school, drive 3 to 4 hours, stay in a hotel, interview the next day, drive 3 to 4 hours home, and be at work the next day. After taking 1 Friday off for an interview, the others all ended up being Tuesdays or Thursdays for whatever reason. The principal called me into his office to make sure I was still dedicated to my students because he noticed I was taking lots of Mondays and Fridays and burning through my sick time. This was 3 years ago. My replacement was a man who is now under investigation. Of course, because there's always a man under investigation in education. Always. All of these always, someone's under investigation, and it's usually a man. A man who's now under investigation for making a hostile work environment. I believe at least 5 women have come forward saying how uncomfortable he's made them. The principal did not want to fire him. It was obvious when I was there that he valued men more than women. Bro, education for being female dominated, it'd be a boys club. Like, education really has boys club vibes, even though it's predominantly women, which is a very interesting dichotomy. Can we talk about how so many male teachers are creepy as fuck to high school girls? Yeah, that needs to be discussed in many ways. It needs to be discussed socially, legislatively. Lots of ways we need to discuss that. Okay. The principal doesn't want to fire him. It was so obvious when I was there that he valued men more than women. He has BFFs with all the male teachers and tolerated women. My female coworkers have said their impression is the principal thinks they're being hysterical and exaggerating and misinterpreting the situations. He's honestly one of the most misogynistic, least empathetic people I've ever met. This happened in Massachusetts while I was a teacher. I currently live in New York and I'm actively pursuing a career in UX design. I love UX design. To get the fuck out of teaching. I share this because people seem to have a misconception that democratic northern states with strong unions are good places to teach. It's still toxic and awful here too. It's the whole system. Yeah, that's one thing is like in Florida, I feel like so many teachers were like, oh, well, teachers in New York get this. And I was like, bro, shitty things are happening everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, same shit, different location. My creepy high school teacher who taught ethics was finally fired after it took over a decade of verbal and physical advances for him to get a decade. Oh my God, a decade? That's not good. Okay. No curriculum, no support, big problem. So I quit teaching after a year because it really fucking sucked. Mood. At my school and just my district in general, my friend who also taught switched districts. Anyway, I was hired as a 7th grade reading teacher at a middle school and I was pretty lit about it. And when it started, because I had just finished my master's degree, I don't have an ed background, I was provisional. I think that's kind of like what I did. I was like a temporary certification. I keep burping. It's because I always drink a Dr. Pepper before I do these because I want to have like energy and like be on 100. But I can't drink a coffee because like that's too much. Then I'm just burping and then I'm just like on Twitch burping. Like that's gross. Or is it a niche? Much to think about. Okay, I taught 2 different courses, a scripted remedial and on-level reading class in addition to ELA, which made no sense because I couldn't use ELA materials even if they weren't going to use them or do what ELA was doing, but I had to match their learning targets in every lesson, so I had no fucking curriculum and no help. I was the only 7th grade reading teacher in the building. All year I asked my admin and coworkers for help, but I got different answers. Principal wanted a hands-on project-based class, but I had no curriculum, and students were way below the reading level. VPA wanted a reading test prep class. VPB said I should be practicing reading fluency. I wasn't allowed to do independent reading time at all because it didn't have a point. I could do independent reading if I came up with standards-based assignments to go along with it, which to me defeated the point of independent reading. It absolutely does. Just let kids read. This annoys the shit out of me. This is also, I experienced a lot of this where like, I taught this research class one year, which was basically supposed to be like extra activities and push in and review for US history. And like, I would always get different answers from like the district, the principal, the vice principal, like all these different groups would give me different answers as to what the fuck was supposed to be going on in this class. And it was just so confusing. So I ended up just like giving the kids random work and random projects, then just like giving them A's on everything because I just didn't really know what was going on. A classmate of mine passed and our drama teacher's reaction was so sus. An investigation started and found out that he had several relationships with several students. I hate that. Okay. No curriculum, no support, big problem, part 2. So without any direction, I had to create all the curriculum myself as a broke first-year teacher without a teaching degree. I had no clue what to teach, what text I was supposed to use, nothing. I was miserable and exhausted from trying to figure out what to teach every day. My lessons were usually hit or miss because most of my colleagues in admin could not offer me any help. Luckily, lessons hit more often than they missed. As the year went on, I just couldn't take it anymore and began looking for other jobs. My contract didn't get renewed. I was hired limited term. I waited for months to see if my position would be available. They transferred someone in. I got hired as a project coordinator and now do that as a freelance writer. I missed the classroom, but it was so miserable it was not even worth it. And here's the kicker. The guy that transferred into my position quit mid-year because the position still fucking sucked. It was the same issues as me, no curriculum, no support, nothing. This was Cobb County School District in Cobb County, Georgia. That's like near Atlanta. I think part of it's in Atlanta actually. There's their socials if you're interested in arts and entertainment writing. Okay, not a debate really. This one is from a student, I believe. So my teacher forced me and a fellow left-leaning / Democratic classmates to debate about abortion in an entire class of Republicans. having a heated class debate is something like, and when I say a heated class debate, I mean like having a class debate about a topic that people get heated about easily, is not something I ever felt comfortable doing because I didn't feel like I had strong enough classroom management to manage it effectively, if you know what I mean. Like I could just see it going downhill very quickly. I think that's something you have to be so careful with. I think it's like, it can be really effective, but it's like, hard to do. Almost impossible to do well, I would dare to say. Okay. He allowed Republican kids from other classes to come watch. That feels pointed. Then asked the class to choose who won the debate. Of course, it was the Republicans. I was embarrassed and humiliated and ended up skipping lunch to cry at the bathroom for half an hour. Never have I felt so much anger, humiliation, and like my voice didn't matter at all. I'm still traumatized from it and refuse to speak about politics to anyone who isn't my left-leaning / Democratic family and friends. Yeah, that's just like not a good debate setup. Like that's really not, as a teacher, that was not an environment you should have created. It was not ideal. I had to teach Christian morality and had to talk about abortion and would love to debate it, but I know 100% it'll get out of hand. Yeah, that's kind of how I felt too. Sometimes I would like occasionally, my hair always gets stuck in my earrings and it's tangled right now. There were a couple times in some of my classes where like it would be a debate within a couple kids and I would like help support that because it was like kids that I felt like knew each other and were going to be respectful and things like that, but I never felt comfortable having an entire class debate. Just not something I wanted to delve into. Also, I taught in Florida. Like Ron DeSantis would like come into my classroom from the window and like kill me. I had a teacher that managed it really well. I think the only thing is there has to be more time separation on if we debate a lot of race aspects. Yeah. It depends on the class too. Like, it depends on the students. It depends on the class. It depends on the content. It depends on so much. Okay, content warning, threats against students, threats of school shooting. Iowa teacher is arrested near the end of the first semester of this year. At the beginning of December, a teacher at the school that I work was arrested for making threats against students. Still with the burping. I can't breathe. I'm going to an ear, nose, and throat doctor soon because I can never breathe. I work at a bigger high school in Iowa, 1,200 students, so crazy things happen here all the time, but nothing like this. Before she was arrested, there were multiple threatening notes found near and around her classroom. Many of these notes were ominous and stated that someone was going to shoot up the school and someone was going to hurt lots of students, etc. This is surprising that the teacher was writing the notes pretending to be a student. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Don't do that. No. I need someone to talk about, like, okay, thank you. Now people in the chat are talking about it. What? I did some things that were questionable, but this is making me feel a lot better about that. Okay, let's continue. The school I work for got the police department involved after finding these notes, at least someone did something, and they concluded that it was indeed the teacher making these threats. The teacher swears up and down that she did not mean to upset anyone, nor had the intentions of hurting anyone. Her reasons for writing these notes was so they could cancel school because she was extremely stressed and had other mental health issues going on. If that's the mindset you're in, like, you need to have a serious conversation with yourself about, like, if you need to be reporting to work right now or if you need to seek medical help and just call out. Like, I am really the type of person that never calls out. It's, like, actually so embarrassing how I never call out, but, like, I have certain parameters for myself that, like, that's a call out. We call out for that one, you know? And this is one of those. This is one of those boundaries that when you feel yourself going there, you don't go to work when you're in that headspace. Okay. Where was I? And because she felt like she could not handle her classes this year, what she did was bad, but the situation was addressed only when she was arrested and never again. The administrative therapy, literally quit my job or fake school shootings. Bestie, just take a day. Avoiding my arrest equals my boundaries. No, literally, that's like as good a job I can do of setting boundaries. The administration at my school did nothing to help the staff nor the students with the damaging effects of this situation. Many students came to me extremely distressed because they felt like they couldn't trust their teachers anymore. Well, that would do it. That would fucking do it, to be honest. And and the school wasn't safe. We had multiple threatening notes found at my school. Mind you, this happened literally right after the Oxford high school shooting in Michigan. I'm talking this exact same week as that shooting. Oh, all these kids need therapy. Group therapy for everybody. Many staff members felt betrayed, not only by the teacher, but our administration that did nothing to help us after this happened. No support, no time off, no nothing. My colleague felt like she had no other option but to make these threats, and of course that doesn't make it right, but I just can't help but feel for her. This is literally crazy. Like, I do feel a lot of empathy for this person, but that's a lot. Our admin did not listen to our problems or our request for help. I just have this gut feeling that if our admin actually cared about us, supported us, lifted us up, something like this would not have happened. And to this day, it hasn't been discussed since, nor has the problem of lack of admin been solved. Thank you for giving us a place to discuss these issues. Of course. Okay, this is about a Grinchy admin. I have mixed feelings about this one. We'll get into it. Okay, so I wanted to preface this by saying this isn't really a teacher horror story, and more of just someone, a part of our school admin being horrible. I'm the president of my school student council. We are having 12 days of holidays in the last 12 days of school before Christmas, so students can actually have some form of enjoyment in their lives. One of our days was lunch with Santa, where we made soup for the entire school, set up a cute, very well-decorated photo booth for Santa so kids could take pictures with their friends with Santa. Our plan for the Santa was to visit the little kids in the elementary side of the school for the first half of the day, and that went fine. The kids loved it. Then things started to go downhill. We never ran this idea by our vice principal, a witch of a person. So I will say, just like as an adult with an adult perspective, you should have run this by them. I understand maybe in the moment you were like, oh, how could anyone have a problem with this? But it's just always good practice to run stuff by everybody. It's good to be in communication with people when there's something out of the norm happening, just as a piece of wisdom to any child or adult watching this. Truly no shade to the person that submitted this, but maybe next time we just remember that. Why is there Santa at a public school? I've seen Santa at public schools before. I think that really just varies community to community. We never ran this idea by our vice principal, and she apparently did not approve of this. That's pretty lame of her, to be honest. She said that the kids were getting too riled up by Santa. I mean, that's just kind of what's going to happen, like you said. So she absolutely lays into our janitor for being Santa. Not the janitor. He was literally just trying to be Santa. That's so sad. The person I feel the worst for is the janitor in this scenario. Kids are always riled up for holidays. Kids are always just riled up. Like, it's really easy to rile up kids. The poor janitor, right, fuck. She shot down our photo booth and canceled Santa for the rest of the day. She invalidated our hard work to organize this and get it set up. She was really horrible and left us all feeling really deflated at the end of the day. That was supposed to be fun. How are you going to work with kids and then get mad when they act like kids? Literally, how are you going to work with kids and get mad when they act like kids? There's a lot of people I can say that about. All I can think about is when Phyllis wanted to be Santa in the office. Stop. Okay, I made it 4 years. I recently resigned mid-semester to take a new job. I was the only person qualified to teach the classes that I did, a college-level science. So they gave me hell when I told them I was resigning and starting my new job on Valentine's Day. Oh my God, I quit right around the same time as you. Sorry, I couldn't breathe for a second. My principal forced me to call the director of secondary HR, who told me, quote, I hear from your administrators you are a very talented little girl. Jail. Literally jail. Whenever a man calls me a girl, I just, my skin crawls. I was at work. Should I be talking about this? Whatever. I was at work, and one of the, men in the office asked if I was well-behaved over the weekend, and I was like, what does that mean? If you're in a workplace and you are thinking of using the term little girl to refer to someone that's over the age of 7, let's go with no. Actually, let's just not do it at all. Let's get rid of that phrase for men. Y'all had the phrase and you lost it. You had the phrase and you lost it. You got too weird and you lost it. So y'all just don't get to say that anymore. I'm sorry. Take it up with each other. Okay. Ugh. Very talented little girl. Ugh. Ugh. I can feel my skin crawling. I hate it here. The assistant principal I was really close with told me that karma was going to get me, and he hopes my new company fails in 3 months so I have no job, and he'll make sure I never get hired in this state. Boy, bye. They put the emoji, not me. You can put emojis if you submit on your phone, or if you have a Mac, I think. Okay, regardless, I I gave them my tentative plans for the rest of the year, prep materials for whoever the sub was going to be, and when I tried to hand over everything, they said they were deleting my entire Google Drive, and to make sure that the sub had everything, they wanted me to transfer each individual file to the AP. Absolutely fucking not. Literally no. Like, literally absolutely fucking not. No, I made the AP do it himself, and of course now no one knows how to schedule anything on Google Classroom, access virtual labs, or troubleshoot the classroom. That's literally such a mood that when I resigned, my principal was like, we'll take care of it. We don't want your plans. And now the kids text me and they're like, we're doing nothing. Everything we do, we find on Quizlet. And I'm like, sounds about right. Sounds about right. Okay. If I was so indispensable, then maybe you should have paid and treated me like it. I now make twice as much and work from home. Ugh, I want to work from home. This is just my last 10 days in education. I made it 4 years. I'm the first one to leave mid-semester for non-FMLA reasons. That's like family medical leave, like maternity leave, things like that. This is a meme. I made this meme. Please celebrate this meme. Me and my principal told me he would make sure I never get hired as a teacher again because this happened to both of us. This also happened to me. We were in this meeting and he was on one side of the table and he was getting so mad. And I was sitting there. I was literally sitting like this. And he was like this. And he was like, if you ever want to teach again, just know that my comments about you are critical to your ability to do that. And I was like, and it was so awkward. And looking back, in the moment, I wanted to cry. And it was horrible. But looking back, that's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. Like, that's literally so embarrassing that he said that to me. And that was before he found my TikTok. Imagine what he's saying now. Whatever. Okay. My friend got blacklisted from our district. Yeah, I'm definitely blacklisted from my district. That's okay, though. Because I think one of two things will happen. Either they'll get desperate enough, or I'll want to move. You know what I mean? That's Scorpio men behavior. Literally, he's also, actually, let me not height shame. I'm not going to height shame. Okay. Content warning, child abuse. That wasn't a fun transition. And they did nothing. Again, shout out to Evie for the titles on these. 10-10. I went through these today. 10-10. Okay. And they did nothing. I worked in the school system for 4. Maybe some nice normal person will take over the district eventually. Yeah, exactly. I feel like their staff turnover rate is so high. In 5 years, no one will know who I am. It'll be fine. Okay. I worked in the school system for 4 years as a paraprofessional, specifically in elementary special education. I turned into a special education kindergarten teacher. I turned in, meaning like reported. I turned in a special education kindergarten teacher for hitting and choking students. What the fuck? And absolutely nothing was done to this teacher. This teacher had also sprayed students in the face with water bottles and one time even went to punch a student, but instead got me and I became bruised. That's literally fucking what? I had multiple witnesses and we wrote legal statements. Nothing was done or looked into. This is what I mean. When I started this, I was like, there's some shady shit going on. I know it. And here it is. Shady shit going on. 2 of the people that turned in this teacher were fired a week later. Most recently, I had turned in another paraprofessional for hitting students, slapping them on the hands and the butt. Again, kindergarten special education. And that's the thing. A lot of times in kindergarten special education, a lot of the kids don't have like the communication skills yet to really communicate that these things are happening to them when they get home. So they're like a really vulnerable group of kids. Like probably I would say special education kindergarten is like probably some of the most vulnerable kids in the education system, in my opinion. At this point, I was moved to a different building for causing problems and drama. I quit 2 weeks later. I'm in college to be a special education teacher now because I don't want students to ever have to go through this again. That is insane. Ugh. Okay, Zoom class nightmare. When I tell you I was screaming at my cat about this one. Zoom class nightmare. This one's bad. Parents are crazy. A parent of a special education student entered my Zoom class. I was hybrid teaching and wanted to conference about her daughter. I explained I needed to teach the class and we could set up another time to talk. She and the student left the Zoom meeting. About a minute later, her caseworker walked into my room and demanded that I speak to the mother right now. Bro, school systems love rewarding people for shitty behavior. Again, while I was in the middle of a lesson, all the kids heard it all. I was humiliated and scatterbrained for the rest of I was humiliated and scatterbrained for the rest of the day. The student never came to my class again. This isn't unheard of, but not common. Teachers, teaching, parents, we need to have a meeting. We need to have a meeting. Like, don't reward that behavior. Like, literally, teachers should have Calendly links, and, like, you can make a fucking appointment. I think it's one thing to stop by and chat. Like, I think to have a chat during, like, drop-off, pickups, just like, hey, how's she doing? Good? Do you need anything? Like, that's fine. But if you want to have a whole-ass sit-down conversation about, like, specific things, and you want to look at student work and grades and stuff like that, make an appointment. Make an appointment. Make an appointment. Oh, shit, sorry. Like, I had 130 students. I never had this issue. Like, most of the parents, like, I would have, who just texted me? Oh, God damn it. It was about an apartment. It's already rented. I never had parents do this. Like, my meetings with parents when I was a teacher were primarily with me, parents, and admin. So, like, they were always scheduled, like, at least a couple days in advance. But a lot of my friends would have parents who just, like, called constantly and wanted to meet constantly. I have a parent in the preschool I work that asks for updates at pickup. It's not that hard to be respectful. Parents can only care about their kids when their kid is acting up. They're always calling in the middle of the day asking for teachers to come to the phone. Okay, just pick one job, please. My department chair is one of those people that takes on too much and then terrorizes it for everyone else. Martyrs are selfish. I'll say it. This is an anti-martyr account. People that take on all this work and then complain about it all the time and, like, are like, oh, it's just so hard for me. Well, no one would do anything nice for me. It's like those people just want attention, and it's selfish, and I don't like it because part of being responsible is regulating yourself. You know what I mean? Like, part of being responsible is setting boundaries for yourself. You know? That's just the man, there's, like, little children screaming outside my apartment with a dog. That's, like, really sweet. Like, core memory for them, but, like, annoying for us, you know? Okay. Just pick one job, please. That's why Jesus needed boundaries, literally. My department chair is one of those people that takes on too much and terrorizes everyone. She's currently my department chair, the after-school tutoring coordinator, union steward, and she is now the full-time testing coordinator, which pulled her out of the classroom 4 days a week since September. Does she still have classes? Is that allowed? To just be a teacher and not be in the classroom? I don't think that's allowed. At first, she applied to be the testing coordinator position, got denied. She spent 3 entire PLC and department meetings after that, making us convince her to not quit, or worse, where she constantly gaslighting us that it's so unreliable, but no one will vote her out because we're scared of her wrath. And yes, this happens all the time. Jesus Christ. Everyone involved here needs help. That's a lot. I also have seen a lot of teachers do this where, like, they'll burn themselves out and take on so much, and it's because they need the money. Because, like, you can get little stipends for all these things, you know what I mean? So a lot of times people, I don't know what this button does. A lot of times people just take on way more than they want to handle or can handle, and they know that they can't handle it just because they need the money. Oh my God, this is yours? Hey, what's up? I always see you in your chat. She's in her 40s. I fucking love that someone had a question and then someone answered the question. She got worse. That's unfortunate. I don't love that. I was hoping she would get better. That's tough. Teaching in Florida vibes. This is how I would feel every day of my life. Every day I would feel this way. My math teacher sophomore year was like that, and it was awful because she never taught. So many teachers don't teach. Like, so many teachers are just sitting at their desk and talking, which, like, sometimes me. I'm not even gonna lie. The stipends are never enough. To be honest, our athletic director only gets $1,000 more for the year. Yeah, it depends on the district with your stipends, but, like, if you stack, like, 10 things, it'll add up, at least in my district. Like, I got $1,000 a year for doing a club. That wasn't that much work, but I still, like, I just don't like after school stuff. I submitted the story, but she sent us a whole email calling us bad teachers because we don't do more than 20 minutes of direct instruction. I feel like that GIF is how I feel a lot. What club did you host? I stand. It was the Social Studies Honor Society. I got voluntold to do it. I'm an anti-honor society person, mainly just out of laziness. It was cool, though. We would do, like, fun stuff and little map projects, and sometimes we would watch documentaries. Like, the kids were super fun, but I don't like paperwork, and I don't like changes in my routine. I would have a teacher that would always have us watch a video individually for lessons and sit at her desk on Facebook every single day. I love to visit Florida, but I don't know if I could live there as a South Carolina native. So my thoughts on Florida are that, like, Florida's chaos, but I'm chaos, so I feel like I fit in here, and I like it here. Like, I don't want to leave. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, you should work in a different district. And like, I don't want to move. I love where I live. All right, why hire more people when your job can just be harder? That's like literally the theme of education. I work in an 811, which means there's a teacher, a classroom para, and 8 students. This particular class setup is that each student has a one-on-one as well. All the kids have severe needs, toileting, nonverbal, severe behavior, etc., requiring one-on-one help. Our district tells teachers to edit their students' IEPs to make it so one student who needs a 1-1 gets taken off their IEP based on which parents are the easiest and most likely to agree, and then they have the classroom para act as their 1-1 so that they can technically be within ratio without having to pay an extra person. Of course it's to save money. What else would it be? Truly. I agree, you were always meant for Florida. This like super illegal, right? It's probably not illegal is the disturbing part. It's probably a gray area. That's what I've noticed. A lot of these are gray areas. This hurts the teachers because without a classroom para, they are the only ones to cover breaks for the staff all day, 45 minutes times 8 staff, all in a 6-hour day, not to mention the material prep, leaving them no time to do their actual job. This happens all the time. It's in Long Island. My boyfriend's from Long Island. I wonder if this was like the situation with his school. So this is the meme that I made for this because it's technically in ratio. That's what I would always see is they were like, well, technically it's allowed. Like one time I had a class that had like 32 in it and I was like, hey, the max is 25. And they were like, oh, well, a bunch of those kids are students that are in the like special education program. So technically it's an inclusion class. And there's like 2 instructors in there and you teach at the same time. And I was like, yeah, but there's not an instructor for that class. So it's just me alone. And they were like, yeah, but technically they're in 2 different classes. And I was like, yeah, I understand. In the computer system, they're in 2 different classes. However, we are in one room with one teacher. So to me, that is a more important definition of a class. Yeah. Easy parents can also mean neglectful. Yeah, that's the fucking truth. A lot of times, like, easy parents to deal with are parents that are just, like, very not involved or not informed. Sometimes a mix of both. Okay, secret maternity leave. We had, also my computer dying, left the charger at my boyfriend's house. Love that for me. It's actually not dying. It's at 80%, but I need to, like, focus and get through all these before it dies. Okay, we had a speech teacher who went out on maternity leave 1 year in April. Admin said that since it was so close to the end of the year, they couldn't find anyone. I don't believe they ever actually tried to fill the leave, but that's just an opinion. So that meant several students who had speech therapy on their IEPs did not receive services for 2.5 months. They made sure to tell teachers that they were not allowed to tell parents because they would complain. That's what I mean. Shady things happening in schools. Lots of parents would be shocked. Lots of parents would be shocked as fuck. It's crazy. I've been telling y'all this. The next year, she went on a second maternity leave. They did the same thing again. If they get away with it, they'll do it again. Always report people. I only know of this circumstance, but who knows at my district? Yeah, fucking crazy. I'm big on IEP advocacy because I was a kid with one and, like, it's so bad. Why are admins the devil? So I will say a lot of times admins do terrible things because like they're being forced to by people who are very disconnected from the classroom and don't understand what's going on. Like I've noticed a lot of admins like rationalize things to themselves and have a lot of cognitive dissonance because like you can tell that they know they're doing things that are wrong, but they just like don't really have a choice and they just like need to provide for their families. So I think a lot of admin know they could be doing better, but they just like don't have a way to be doing better. Admins are teachers that just failed up. That's also true. Admins should advocate harder. That's the thing that bothered me the most is it's like, I understand that your boss is putting unrealistic pressure on you, but like it's your job to turn around and be like, that is wrong. That is unrealistic. This is not going to happen. Like I'm doing that to you and I'm getting yelled at and I'm getting the attitude for it. And like, I'm uncomfortable because I'm like advocating and then like, you're just saying, oh, well, my boss told me to do this. Is like take some accountability and advocate to your boss. Like, how about you get yelled at? And like I saw a lot of admin who just wanted to climb the career ladder, so they like weren't willing to get yelled at, if you know what I mean. Like, they didn't want to advocate because it would, like, hurt their own ability to grow and make more money and whatever. Content warning, threats of violence. That's not great. Problematic principal behavior. In middle school, I had a classmate who wrote up a kill list for other students and was in the grade. Mind you, this is a small private school with a grade-wide size of 24. It was shown to the teacher of that class, who brought it straight to the principal. They simply blame it on the district always. Who brought it straight to the principal. The principal called the top 3 students on the list, along with the author to her office, who shredded the list. Why would you shred that? The author's mom, who also worked at the school, does not even know what happened. My best friend was number 1 on the list, and her and the author rarely even talked. This is in Detroit. Just the top 3. They said just the top 3. They probably won't make it to number 4. Content warning, homophobia, assault. Those who can't teach coach. That's just a joke. Don't get too in your feelings about it. These are this is not funny at all. The term author made me giggle. Yeah, author was a good choice. These 2 stories are about one teacher from when I was in high school. This one happened to me and my girlfriend at the same time. I'm a lesbian and was very open in high school. In 2016, my girlfriend and I had the same math teacher, but in different periods. I was barely passing the class and she was acing it. One day, the teacher saw us kiss outside his classroom and started harassing us in class. My barely passing grade became a failing grade, and she started failing too. He also took her out of class multiple times to yell at her for being a failure and a burden on society, specifically for being gay, as in he admitted that's why he was saying it, reported to admin, and nothing happened. This is one thing I've never understood, is like going out of your way to yell at a kid, because I've definitely had kids piss me off. Like, I've definitely had kids that frustrate me and make me angry because, like, maybe they're not putting in the work, they're not taking accountability. Like, that's usually what would trigger me, is like if they would like be rude to me and try and say that it was my fault they were failing when like they hadn't taken accountability. If I tried to help them a million times, like, it would get to me. But like, no matter how much it got to me, I never wanted to yell at the kid. I just wanted the kid to like not be near me for a while, you know? Like, I never was like, oh, I want to scream at this kid. I was like, oh, I just wish that they like weren't here right now and I wasn't dealing with this right now, you know? So like, that's what gets me, is like, how is that in there, you know? I went to a religious school and my friend was legit assaulted by a male student. They made him apologize with a note, which he used to try to ask her out. Read the room. Read the room. I'm sorry I assaulted you, but if you wanted to go out sometime, I'm down. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay, 2, this teacher was also the football coach, and a few months later, multiple football players went to admin about bad touches in the locker room. Of course. And inappropriate language. More than one of the boys got suspended for lying. Oh my fucking God. And the teacher quietly got to retire with no other consequences. Students only find out this is why he retired when the boys who reported it were brave enough to continue telling people what happened. Good for them. Internalized homophobia is a motherfucker. Admins continued to say the boys were lying and the teacher retired early for unrelated reasons. God. I made this meme about it, not because trauma is funny, but because I wanted to make fun of this dude for being horrible. In 8th grade, a girl in the life skills class made a hate list of one of the girls on the list was dating a guy she had a crush on. Also, she posted a pic of the girl on Snapchat and said, I want to kill this bitch. Ugh. Ooh. LOL to the meme. We know we're not laughing at trauma, we're laughing at the meme. God, people are insane. That's the one thing that adult life has really showed me, is that people are batshit crazy. They really are. Like, that's something that I think we're not discussing enough, is how batshit crazy people are. Sorry, I'm looking at my comments on TikTok because I'm incapable of taking a break from anything ever. Okay. Why is this bit censored for us and not you? Wait, it's censored? Eh? Okay, content warning, homophobia, and harassment. Sorry, I clicked the button a little too hard. I swear all these batshit crazy people, I wonder what batshit crazy moments I've had in my life. People are literally insane. I'm insane, you're insane, we're all insane, it's fine. My chem teacher called me useless and a disappointment. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people? Sometimes I really feel like my ego gets out of hand because some of these make me be like, wow, I was an incredible teacher. I was the best teacher that there ever was. When in reality, I think I gave myself like a 7.5 out of 10. But some of these, like, why would you? This is the thing. Teaching is so important. It's the future. It's children. It's molding their future in the life and the future of our society. Like, I quite literally cannot think of a more important job. So if you want to be shitty at your job, just like work at the Verizon store. Because like you can just be shitty at it and just work there. You know what I mean? So like if you want to be good at your job, then you should be a teacher. But like if you want to be shitty at your job, just like go do anything else. Literally anything. Do like insurance underwriting. Who gives a shit about that? Like it's literally all fake money. Like do anything else. Anything. Okay. No safety for LGBTQIA plus students. I was an open lesbian and got harassed all throughout high school for it. One year I ended up on the school's GSA page in the yearbook and received multiple death threats over it. Oh my God. And other online harassment, always reported to admin, felt very unsafe for a while. I came with proof of which students were saying it and even proof that it happened on campus more than once. Admin offered to put me in online school. They said, oh, are you getting traumatized? You can leave. The best we can do is you can leave. Sorry. I'm not the only student that this has happened to, and no amount of reporting to admins has helped the issue. Bullshit when you consider the school put mandatory pride banners in every classroom, but did nothing to protect us. This is in Oregon. I have heard some messy things about Miss Oregon. I don't know what's going on there. Seems like a lot, though. Content warning, racism, and misogyny. It's a great combo. Okay, so someone put this note on here. They said, I wrote this story out for your last stream, but it didn't make it. I genuinely believe it's important to share, so I'm resending. Actually added details as I remembered more since writing the first time. Also, side note, love your streams, love what you're doing with your platform. Yes, I saw you submitted it for like the first one, and then I didn't have time to get through all the submissions, so it actually is in the stream from the 16th, but because you added more, I wanted to go through it again. So if this was you, I didn't skip you. I love you. But I'm going to go through it again. But I just wanted to kind of like explain what had happened there, because I usually try and do 50 per thing. So if you have some, send them to me, because I'm going to have to. Okay, so virtual school disaster. I was a senior in high school. I took online classes through FLVS. We had virtual teachers for every class, but the teacher in the library only took attendance. Abuse happens online. Would you like to do online school? It's not funny, but it is. But the teacher in the library took attendance. My first teacher quit after about a month because he said he was treated horribly. Fair. To fill the interim, they had a security card to do it. Eventually, she was trained. The new guy, who was genuinely a nightmare. Oh, I remember this one. This man was ancient and very apparent in the way he tried to manage us. His only job was to take attendance and make sure we were staying on task and not dying. For some reason, he took it upon himself to distract us on the daily. Of course he did. Everyone disliked him, and eventually one morning he decided to refer the Asian girl next to me as that's a racial slur, and I'm not going to say it, but you can read it. It's right there. And a Hispanic girl as Maria 5 names, which is very insulting and also racist. There was no reason to my memory that he said it, but he outwardly decided to use those terms. We were all visibly shocked, and I asked, what did you just say, in disbelief of what he said. He decided to announce that the two girls would not do anything to get him in trouble because he was a big man and they were little girls. Again with the phrase little girls. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I told the principal, who told me to tell the AP. This man was named Ryan Chase at Sarasota High School. Sarasota, beautiful beaches, but sounds like terrible high schools. He pulled me into his office and said if I didn't stop harassing his employee by reporting him, I'd get suspended, which would affect my college admissions. Side note, I have no idea what the reason for Ryan Chase to be so protective of a bigot, but this was the first instance in a long list of things he went out of his way to do to protect this teacher. That's not great. This teacher then ramped it up and when I told him to knock it off, the security guard put both of us in a room and asked what my problem was. I decided to full send it and tell her I don't do well with yelling on account of being diagnosed with PTSD, twinsies, that doing so is scary and it reminds me of leading events of the events leading to said diagnosis. I didn't tell her what events because that wasn't going to happen. He told me in front of her, I'll give you something to be scared of. Jesus fucking Christ. And she didn't even react. I was too afraid to do anything, and my guidance counselor also explicitly told by Mr. Chase that I was being a problem child, so I had to find someone else to report her to get anything done. Nobody else had the courage to do anything because he would make threats of what he would do to people who acted out all the time. The only reason he was ever disciplined was because of an altercation he had with school admin. I wasn't there for it, but I knew this admin well enough to the point that I was allowed to go to her office and reset if I was having a problem. The way she explained it is that she came into the library for materials. He confronted her, asking what she was doing in his domain. When she said she was the ACE coordinator, that's like an advanced placement program type thing. One of my favorite teachers I had taught in Sarasota like 10 years ago. Oh my God, is this them? Also, what is the referral to a referral to report them? Yeah, like writing a referral, like they're like in trouble, so you like refer them to the office. He said that it was impossible because nobody in their right mind would give that position to a woman. Disgusting. In response, she claimed she yelled things she wouldn't repeat to a student, and it apparently hurt him so badly that he went home immediately after. Ryan Chase came to her office to chew her out for being so rude to the new guy, but again, this is the ACE coordinator. She's head of the school's largest magnet academic program and has the ability to escape any sort of punishment. He was not punished at all, despite the fact that he acknowledged and apologized for his sexist comment. He was then able to complete the year and simply left as they did not renew his contract. I do not believe this is the same thing as being fired and is completely unacceptable. The worst part of this story, in my opinion, is that despite the fact that Ryan Chase enabled the biggest bigot I've ever met in my entire life and threatened a student who decided to speak out against it, he would go on next year to become a principal at Brookside Middle School. Awesome. So he's a principal now. Perfect. I love that for the future of our society. I have an unreasonable beef with Sarasota after working in Florida politics for 2 years. Ugh. Okay, content warning, gang violence. Okay, no resources. This is a long one. I'm a high school history teacher, but I am a military spouse. Little bit of a red flag. It's fine. I have mixed feelings about the military. Well, that's not true. Yes, it is. I've direct feelings about the military as a whole. I have mixed feelings about people in the military. Anyway, I digress. I'm a high school history teacher, but because I'm a military spouse, I moved schools and states frequently. My first year teaching, I worked at a high school with gang problems. It was a smaller school in a semi-rural area. I didn't really realize gangs were super active in rural areas. Interesting. I want to read about this. Because of shitty racist zoning in one of the high school's entire population lived below the poverty line, and local gangs began to become a problem. During the first month of school, we had a massive fight break out during breakfast in the cafeteria where almost the entire student body was fighting based on gang affiliations. Not good. That is not good. A large amount of the student body was arrested, and then the entire school day went on as normal. How do you arrest a significant amount of the student body and then you're just like, okay, everyone go to third period, have a great day, don't forget to say the pledge? Everyone was just expected to go on with their day, and admin never addressed the event with the staff, not even an email. You couldn't even send an email. Most people in the military are victims of a combination of a predatory system, capitalism, and the military industrial complex, but I will hold these thoughts for another time. That was a great summary of my feelings. Thank you for that. But the admin couldn't even send an email. Like, I feel like sending an email wouldn't have been hard. As a new hire, I was never provided with any type of training. I am unsure and ignorant as to proper verbiage here, nor did admin ever mention the fact that severe violence was almost a daily occurrence at my school. Yeah, I feel like you kind of got to let people know that in the interview. I quickly figured out that I had rival gangs in my classroom from my students. I don't even know what I would do in this situation. I was a first-year teacher, but also a military veteran, older than most new teachers, and a mother. My classroom management style has always been based on good relationships with my students, so I thought I could handle it all, and gang violence would never be an issue. I went through my first semester without a fight in my classroom, and I knew many teachers who had daily fights in their classrooms, so I thought I had it under control. It's always when you get too comfortable. It's always when you get comfortable that bad things happen. Not to, like, victim blame, but I've noticed that happens to me. I'm like, things are good, and then something happens, and I'm like, of course. Around March of second semester, I'm plugging away writing my 3-page daily lesson plans. Bro, schools that be having the most issues require the most from teachers of, like, shit that's not useful to anyone, which is really insane. I knew of a few gang issues I had in one of my freshman classes and made sure to sit them far away from each other and keep a close eye. Again, I have zero training about how to deal with this, nor has my admin ever discussed gang problems with me. Like, staff all knew it was a problem, but admin never addressed it. Anyway, so one day I'm teaching and one of my students stands up, let's call him D, and starts walking across the room towards another student, let's call him U. D gets to use desk and is just standing there. D is twice the size of U. D starts saying something to U, but I can't hear as he's almost whispering. U throws a punch and then it's chaos. D is going at U and U is so scared he yells up to the front of the room and gets behind me. D storms to the front of the room when I'm yelling at D to stop. U drops to the floor and curls around my feet in a fetal position. This is so much. Oh my God. Jesus. Then he somehow pulls the phone cord out of the wall and now my classroom phone and emergency line doesn't work. Why would he do that? If he's like the one about to why would he get rid of the phone? That feels counterintuitive. Even though U is literally curled around my feet, D keeps kicking U. I will say D kept asking me to get out of the way and never touched me, but I couldn't move because U was basically wrapped around my legs. I'm not a tiny woman, but I am 5'4" and was about 130 pounds at the time. I couldn't push D off U and couldn't free myself from U. Since my phone wasn't working, a student eventually had to get help from my SRO. That's like a school cop. And some other dude come barreling into my room. They restrain D but let U walk around, so U starts screaming at me about how I didn't protect him. He's in my face just raging and no one is doing a damn thing to help me. Oh my God, this is so traumatizing for everyone involved. Eventually, one of my students helped me out and gets U to chill. The SRO officer takes both kids out of my room and that's it. I'm just expected to continue on. Some of my students start going off about how I should have protected you and that it's all my fault. This is so much, God. The social worker's office was down the hall. I would simply start crying. No, literally, I would just be like, I have to go home. I don't know. I have to go home. I'm sorry. A social worker's office is down the hall. She happened to be on campus that day and overheard what was going on, so she comes in to help the students and me have a dialogue about what just happened. Fights at my school are 10 times a day occurrence, but rival gangs of this magnitude was a unique situation, so my class and I talk through it. I hear their side and they hear mine, and then the class ends, they feel better. Luckily, after that class was my planning. Remind you, I'm a first-year teacher. I love my students, and I'm more upset that my students feel like I let them down than I am about the fight. No one has come to my room to check in. Haven't seen admin at all, and I am upset. I would be too. I call my husband and I'm bawling, broken down, just devastated. An hour later, I decided I need to go home and try and track down my admin. I find out my principal has left for the day, so I find my AP. I catch him in the hall and tell him I need to talk. He says he doesn't have much time, so I just tell him there. I tell him how I'm feeling and that I need to go home for the day. There's only one period left, but I was mentally spent and needed to leave. His response in the most condescending tone was, "You work with convicts, rapists, and murderers, and are you going to run home crying every day? You want to go home crying, fine, but you better toughen up if you want to make it as a teacher." Why would you say that when you could just not fucking say that? You know what I mean? I just stared at him and muttered something about staying the rest of the day. This is literally just so much. No resources. This event was never discussed again, and 2 weeks later, both D and U were back in my class together. I've been teaching for about 10 years. My best and worst memories come from students at this school. I coached cheerleading at this school. I created strong relationships with students who I'm still in regular contact with. I had students shot and killed. I learned a lot about myself, my privileges, and society that year. I would have so many stories about how mismanaged the school was, about how I, the teacher, would get yelled at if my dress was above the knee, and my 3 to 4 page daily lesson plans were not detailed enough. Meanwhile, it rained inside my classroom. Students were not given enough toilet paper in the bathrooms, and heat frequently went out at the school, and the graduation rate was about 60%. Oh, I saw someone in the chat said, "and killed," just brush over that. I lost a student every year that I taught, I think. Yeah. It's really sad. That's what I mean. Like, I'm really desensitized to like a lot. Like, it's really crazy that's like, I don't know, now saying that out loud, that's like really fucked up. I'm like really not okay. But yeah, that's education. Are you okay? I don't know. It's a great question. A student at your school or one of your own? A mixture of those two. Some years it was a student that I had taught. The first one, it was really close to the beginning of the school year, so I had not met the kid many times, but that one was a lot, because like that one, the student passed away, and then they like had all the teachers stand up and say a word, and I had only met the kid 3 times, so I was like, that was a lot. It was weird. But I have a therapy appointment on Thursday, so I should probably save this for that. Let's get back into this now. I regret bringing that up because now I'm feeling things. Okay, so no other high schools went without toilet paper. My school also didn't have toilet paper a lot. A lot of times I would buy toilet paper and the kids would like take the toilet paper. Like, it was not, I would like leave the roll next to like the bathroom pass, and they would like take toilet paper with them to the bathroom because the U.S. is a third world country. To do so many issues with admin and district at this school, but it took me years to process how much the DNU event had traumatized me as a teacher. All of this would have been completely different if I had been trained and had better communication from admin, had my AP showed me an ounce of empathy, probably a better teacher and human for my students because of this event, but fuck, yeah, that's a big one. Okay, gifted kid culture. I went to this weird high school where all AP classes were AP/IB, so the whole AP course in one semester and then the whole IB course in one semester. That's weird. The classes were extremely rushed and difficult. Not even sure we have a Gucci belt at this point. I don't think we do. I really don't think we do. The classes were extremely rushed and difficult solely for the purpose of preparing you for the exams. When it was time to enroll for classes, counselors would heavily push these classes onto you. It got to the point where they stopped offering gen ed classes because of it. That feels illegal. I never took any gen ed classes because my counselor wouldn't let me, but those who did were pretty ostracized from peers. It fostered a culture of you're not taking the hardest courses, you're not trying, / you're not smart. Admin literally pitting the student body against each other for what? More funding. It created a really depressing environment, and gifted kids would get a really big head. Gifted kids, aka students who could afford outside tutors, senior year were spent doing literal internships instead of being in classes. Do you know the work opportunities I could have now at 21 if I had had time to intern at 17? This was kind of the school environment that I was in. My school had gen ed classes. I went to a high school that had 4,000 people in it, but I was in pretty much all gifted and AP classes, and like that was really the vibes. Like if you were in a gen ed class, people were like, oh, is something like wrong with you? And they like would yell at you for trying to take them. Like they kept continuously trying to put me in, into gifted chemistry. They kept trying to put me into gifted chemistry. I had almost failed biology the year before. I barely got my ass through biology. And so I was like, I'm going to take the lowest level chemistry I possibly can, and I'm going to take it online, and I'm going to take an extra art class because I think I'll enjoy it more. It'll look good for college applications to have taken more of like a niche thing, whatever. The school put gifted chemistry on my schedule 3 times, and my mother had to come to the school physically. She had emailed, she had called. She had to come to the school physically and get them to change it because they were like, oh, but like she's done well on tests, she can handle it. And my mom was like, I do not fucking care. She doesn't want to take it. She's not going to take it. And then they did the same thing my senior year with math. They wanted me to be an AP Calc so bad, and I was like, I just have no interest in doing that. And they just like really push it onto you. It's really gross. I felt like a failure for realizing I needed gen chem for my mental health. Exactly. Like you should be able to take a class where like, could you probably handle a harder one? Yeah, you could probably do okay, but like for what? Content warning, violence against children. Don't love that. Okay, ask for a camera. This one's rough. Let's be honest, this one's rough. I'm 21 and I was a para in an elementary classroom in Dallas-Fort Worth. I worked with kids on the autism spectrum. There were 6 kids, 1 teacher, me, and another paraprofessional who was great. I should start off by saying that we, the 3 teachers, were constantly told by administrators we had the most difficult classroom in the entire district. They were a bit of a handful. The classroom was barren because anything the kids could touch, they would use to hang themselves or shove down their throats. Oh my God. Maintenance had to weld on outlet covers because one kid used his fingernail to take out the screws and swallowed them. I'm sorry, what is happening? Why? I wholeheartedly believe every one of those kids needs their own para. I fully agree. I have very limited information, and I already agree with that. The actual teacher started in the middle of COVID. So she's been around for about a year. She was a full-time student at UNT for her master's and a full-time teacher. We'll call her T. T was a grumpy lady, valid. Between work, school, and IEP paperwork, she just couldn't handle it. She would scream at the kids to sit down, smack their hands for stimming, and one day she threw a kindergartner a couple of feet because he was having a temper tantrum. And kindergartners are little. You could really eat one of them. So many kids can't be constantly trying to unalive themselves without something more going on. Exactly, like... She would even study for school in the middle of the day while all paras had to deal with all 6 kids. I immediately told administration something happened. Like something is not correct here. The interim principal did nothing. After about a month of T's aggressive behavior, I finally spoke up and told the principal everything. He said to me, at the end of the day, I cannot reprimand her because who else would want that job? We missed a step. Yeah, we missed a step. Like, we missed a step in that one. Mind you, this is a very wealthy district, but the job only paid her $40K for a nearly impossible job. So yeah, who the fuck would want that job? Very true. For about a month, I went home crying every single day. I hated being a part of the classroom where this behavior is tolerated. I even started taking pictures of a teacher doing unethical things. Always take pictures. Always, 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 always. I have so many audio recordings and pictures. Because I didn't feel like anyone believed the extent of the abuse with her and the students. I verbally put in my 2 weeks and was told to think about it over the weekend. I came back Monday and told him again, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. That's important. We'll come back to that. When the teacher found out I was leaving, the schedule we had for the kids turned into a 7-hour daycare. We played with kinetic sand all day, no learning involved, and we all sat in a 10 by 20 foot concrete room with no windows for those 2 weeks. It was like jail. Nothing on the walls, just a couple of the cars for the kids to play with. The principal set up a meeting with the 3 of us and tried to get me to work things out with the teacher. At this point, I was done. I sat there in silence for nearly an hour while he hashed it out with the other unhappy para. At the end of the meeting, the principal decided that the meeting went well and that everyone was happy and that I wasn't leaving anymore. He told all admin and 2 other teachers this, but not me. I never said I wasn't leaving. I know it's trauma when they get used to voice recording apps. When you get used to the voice recording apps on your iPhone 4. God. Finally, my last day during pickup, as my final fuck you to the school, I go over to talk to one of the students' parents. I told the dad, today is my last day. I can't say much, but whatever you do, please get your child out of this shit show classroom or ask for a camera. Yes, parents of children on the autism spectrum in Texas can ask for surveillance in a classroom. I dropped my keys and badge in the principal's mailbox and rushed to my car without having to see anyone. Was it the most professional way to leave on your last day? Absolutely not. No regrets. I think you made the right decision. I was just so ready to get out of there. Little did I know you're supposed to fill out an online form that you're quitting. I was 20 at the time, and the principal failed to mention that, so a week later I go fill out the form, and the principal's assistant wrote on my paperwork, we had no idea she was leaving, she just stopped showing up for work. You literally put in your 2 weeks twice. I never got my final paycheck. Get the government involved. Sue them. Sue them. Sue them. Report them. Report them. You can report them to, who are those people? Wage labor people. There's like a section. You can report them for that. And still have yet to receive my tax papers for this year. It's been a year since I quit and my position's still open, but that abusive teacher is still teaching. This is in Mansfield Independent School District. Yeah, they're independent of any ethics. Content warning, sexual assault, whore in math class. When I was in high school, I was R-worded by my boyfriend. Up to this point, I was a very good student, but went into a mental downward spiral. Understandable. I often stayed home from school and had makeup work to do. My parents gave my AP and counselor a general synopsis of what was going on. Good parents. The AP sent an email to all my teachers asking them to have grace and patience when it came to me getting work in on time. Appropriate action. In Algebra 2, I had this awful teacher. He was constantly falling asleep at his desk. How could you do that? I've literally never been relaxed enough in the classroom to fall asleep, ever. Ever. I was just always anxious in there. This class had a lot of my friends in it. It was my favorite class to go to. Were we, as students, a little disruptive? Absolutely, but not as bad as he made us out to be. We still got our work done. One day after awakening from a nap, they can only be so disruptive if you're able to sleep. If you're able to fall asleep, how disruptive can they possibly be? Asked the class to be quiet and said, I know you have some issues going on with your abusive boyfriend, but that doesn't mean you can disrupt my class and distract other students who are here to learn. Mind you, there was 8 students talking at our table. Jesus Christ. That's really bad. It's really not okay. The American education system is one of the top 3 reasons I won't have kids. Big same. I may or may not have kids. I think if I decide to, mother someone, I would adopt it. It being a baby. But even adoption's really problematic. So and schools are bad. It just seems like there's really no good options for that, So maybe if I know someone that gets pregnant and is not really wanting it, I can just be hey, I'll take it if you're into that. Maybe that's what I'll do. Who knows? But yeah, men deserve less. A really big dog. I love dogs, but I don't think I want one. I feel like I would get annoyed. Especially at night. I like to be able to relax. So that's also why I don't want kids, because I like to relax. Men deserve less. Dogs are too much work. A really small fish. I kind of want a rabbit. That's what I'm thinking I want as a pet, is a rabbit. I've always wanted a rabbit, but my sister's allergic, so I never asked for one, just because that would be a dick move to ask for one when she's allergic. But I want one. Okay. Horror in math class part 2. I immediately packed all my things in dead silence. As I was leaving the middle of class, I said to everyone, I want you to all remember this when you're called into the office and asked what he said. The teacher said in response, if you leave my class right now and go to the office, you will not be returning. I went to my counselor and told her everything. The AP did not care. She did not ask any other students to verify what was said. The AP offered to switch my math teacher, which meant changing my entire schedule around in March. For my own mental health, I ended up switching schools entirely. Probably the right move. I'm going to be honest, that was the right move. When I decided to leave, the investigation on that teacher ended. Nothing happened to him. I was humiliating that he told everyone my very personal business, and the school did not care at all. That's very sad. Why isn't my child the best? I really have to get through this. We're about halfway done. Okay, we're more than halfway done, and I still have 60% battery, so actually I think it's going to be okay. That's why I want to be a rich housewife and pay someone else to do it. Exactly. Having to walk a dog seems annoying. I would only get a dog if I had a house with a big enough yard and a type of dog where I didn't have to walk it. Some dogs that don't need like a super long walk every day, like smaller ones that if you have a lot of space, just them being outside and running around is enough. I think that's what I would do. Oh my God, today, one of the agents that works in my office brought her dog, and it was literally so cute. I was obsessed with it. Is this the second Mansfield post? I believe it is. Okay, why isn't my child the best? I'm a teacher and a coach at my school, but this story focuses more on the coaching aspect. I had some meetings with parents who stated that they wanted their kids to do well in this upcoming in and out of the lineup. So in my head, everyone would work really hard to secure their spot. Long story short, a girl ended up quitting the team the day before a big event, and that parent rallied and several other parents to write anonymous letters about how terrible of a person I was. Perfect. There were 14 letters submitted to my principal and AD. I'm assuming that means athletic director. I was informed by a parent about the letters and that most of the letters were written by former students or their parents who simply did not get their way when they were on my team, or current members who, again, did not get their way. So my principal called me. AD was also present, and they wanted me to read the letters so I could know what people were saying about me. That was the objective of the meeting. I really did not want to read them, but they put the letters in front of me and left the room. The letters said things like, she's so inexperienced. I've been doing the coach I sport since I was 3, and this is my 8th year of coaching. She's not motherly. Not all female teachers have to be motherly. I don't know if y'all knew that, but they don't, is a fun fact that I would like to talk about. The former coach offered to help her, and she denied it many times. They wouldn't know unless they were talking with the former coach, so that's a whole other story, especially in coaching. Yeah, I definitely was like a very mother teacher. Like, that's definitely the energy that I have, but not everybody's that way. And I think that's one of the best things for kids is interacting with adults who have different management styles, who have different expectations, who have different personalities. I think that's such a skill builder to have to work with and like be taught by lots of different people. They'd complain if she were too motherly at 2. I bet, bro, you can't win. Like, you literally can't win. As I sat there sobbing, my principal asked me if I was okay, and I said, okay, so am I fired? We still had a month of school left in our season, and she said, no, we support you. We just want you to be yourself. What the fuck? You're sending really mixed messaging right now. I'm going to be honest. Well, I was being myself, and clearly that was not working, so I told them I was just going to resign. They both said, oh, no, we don't want you to leave, and then just went in circles about how they want me to be me, but weren't going to address any of what was said in the letters with families of my team, so I'm not on an improvement plan. It's like, literally this next sentence. So the purpose of this meeting was to make me feel like a piece of shit. Bro, they really just be having meetings and they don't know why. Like, they just have a meeting so that they can email their boss at the district and be like, don't worry, I had a meeting about that thing. And then they can be like, yay, everyone's doing our job. Let's all continue to make $100,000 a year to not talk to kids or parents. You know, I think that's just the vibes. And then put a happy face on for another month and try and win the state championship. The way I would not have given a fuck about that championship. I have not spoken to my admin in 3 weeks and don't plan to speak to them until I hand in my resignation after our state tournament. My union rep did speak with my principal and said that it wasn't the best way to handle the situation, but no other steps have been taken. I've been teaching for 7 years and I'm on principal number 4. This new principal had all 3 of her admin team quit in the same week. Ooh. No, it's constructive criticism, but don't take it. So it's just criticism. Exactly. All 3 in the same week? Something happened, and I need to know what it was. One left with no notice. Something was said. There was a meeting, and something was said. One left with 1 notice, one gave 2 weeks, and one said she would complete the remainder of the year, and that was in October. I feel like if it's October, just, keep it to yourself, because then everyone's going to be weird to you all year. I'm just going to rip it off like a Band-Aid. Oh, I accidentally put this link right there. Oops. Have y'all been watching Abbott Elementary? I fucking love Abbott Elementary. LOL, my district literally forcing us to do de-escalation training today to cover up that a kindergartner attacked a teacher before spring break. Oh my god. That's horrifying. Let me move my mouse so you can see the meme. 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 I literally cannot stop burping. I don't know what I want for dinner. I have no groceries at my house. None. No groceries, just vibes. I'm gonna have to DoorDash something for dinner. I don't know what I want though. Yes, I do, but it's expensive, so I'm not gonna get it. Abbott Elementary. Yeah, I am still on. We still have a while to go. TBH. Okay, content warning, threat of gun violence. So no violation, no consequences. My first year, I had trouble with a particular student following directions and redirections. One time I redirected him, and he turned to another student and said, "I'm going to bring a gun and shoot her." Please don't. Admin and leadership dismissed it every time I brought it up because they didn't take what he said seriously. I was so shook up by it, my feelings were never validated. He came back in my class 2 days later and never got any actual consequences. Old men need to be stopped, period. My athletic director came to my classroom to talk to me about the COVID protocol. One of the players had tested positive for COVID. He called me out of fifth period to explain what needs to be done, then starts on a tangent about how the wild lifestyles of players is to blame and ends up telling me about how he lost his virginity. Men just be talking. That's one thing. They just be talking. I reported this to multiple admin and nothing was done. Florida. It's always Florida. I was talking to my director about some issues I was facing, lack of communication, other staff being straight up disrespectful, the general learning environment being horrible, so she was aware and would address them. I'm on the verge of tears, and she responds, "I hear you, that's difficult," then goes on a 20-minute, you would have lost me after 3, 20-minute tangent about how play-based learning is so good for kids and shows me videos of kids playing with bunnies, completely ignoring everything I was saying to her. That was the day I decided I'm not coming back next year. I mean this in the most respectful way possible. But, like, is she all there? Like, is she okay mentally? You know what I mean? Like, is she well? You know? Also, the chat is doing this freaking bullshit. Again, it's been better this time, though, I think. It hasn't been doing it as much, but... add a layer. Here's the chat. Let me make it the right size again. Single mom who works 2 jobs. Low-key, I do feel like this is your sign to get a bunny. I completely agree. And thank you for saying that. Low-key, sometimes I do feel like I work 2 jobs because all day I sit at my desk typing and answering emails, and then I come here and talk about things on the internet. This is my sign to get the bunny. Yes. Okay. Moving on. Call me by my last name. So upon returning for the 21 to 22 school year, I was pulled out of the classroom I was working with no explanation. The district hired a new para to take my position while I was in the office doing clerical work that others didn't want to do. Weird. Very weird. So you got like fired? ? The principal and other teachers refused to call me Miss Last Name in front of the students. Calling me by my first name led to a group of students finding my social media. I was constantly being confused for an 8th grader. Despite being 5'7" and having tattoos, I asked for support from the principal and stopping students and teachers from calling me by my first name, and she told me that I needed to speak with the teachers, even though I had multiple times already and was still being disrespected. When I resigned, the superintendent had a meeting with me where he basically admitted that he doesn't know what goes on with paras because that's below his pay grade. I don't know how... Mr. Superintendent, you're in charge of everyone because you're the superintendent. That's like literally the definition of your job. So like, by definition of your job, that's not below your pay grade because they do work for you. So you are responsible to be aware of things just in general. Data-driven drama. At my old school, I had to take off 3 days for my grandfather's funeral. Very reasonable. They deducted the 3rd day, the phrase above my pay grade, not below. The 3rd day from I think above my pay grade means like I'm not qualified enough to do that, and below my pay grade means like I'm too qualified to do that, I think. Okay, So we only get 2 days of PTO per year. That's insane. That's literally insane. And they asked for an obituary confirmation. Disgusting. That is disgusting. This was 6 years ago, and I still carry the trauma from that school. If, like, what... They deducted your pay and they made you provide the obituary. Like, pick a struggle. Like, pick a crazy thing to do. We would take 5 internal exams each year, which we were told to publicly put student scores up on an anchor chart in the classroom. We were encouraged to shame children who scored in the red as a motivational tactic. Same. They always told me to put student data on the wall. I would always do it by class. So I would be like, oh, in second period, this is the topic you did the best on. This is the topic you did the worst on. And this was the average score. So they could only see the class averages. So sometimes, like, my classes that would struggle, I would feel bad because they'd see that theirs was the lowest. And I was like, sorry. But, like, we had to put it up there. I think it's so, like, rude and aggressive. And this is with first graders. My kids were 17, so they're, like, pretty tough when it comes to stuff like that, more so than a 6-year-old is. Then the whole staff would get together and look at every teacher's data. Teachers were publicly ranked across the charter school system. I once slipped below the top 15 of our 181 first grade classrooms, which is still amazing, and I was mortified that the whole staff knew. My current school is not data driven at all, and I still hold on to the fear that my students' growth or lack thereof equals my value as a person. This person is in Brooklyn. I've noticed this happens a lot in, like, the big metropolitan areas, this crazy focus on data, because you're comparing so many schools that are all working within one system. It just becomes numbers. I had a lot of data meetings. I have a lot of data trauma. Yeah, like, the things that have been said to me over test scores and, like, the way that sometimes I would catch myself and I'd be like, damn, I'm looking at these kids like a number, and I would, like, hate myself so much for it. So it's just, like, a lot. Like, it's a lot to the data. Not a fan with it. U.S. history teacher probs. Yeah, literally. Love that EOC. If you have a child that's taking the EOC, though, I'll literally send you, like, the best study guide on planet Earth. Okay, content warning, child abuse, putting teachers in danger. Second year teacher here, I recently submitted my first DCF report. That's Department of Child and Families, so, like, child protective people vibes, about a student who was physically abused by their parents. There were marks on their body days later. It was a very difficult situation to navigate, but I thought the most important part is that I maintain anonymity with the family. Well, I returned the call of the officer and our counselor, and they said my name out loud while in the room with the family member who abused the child. When I called, I stated my name. They sounded unsure of who I was, so they repeated my name, and I asked if it would be helpful if I gave them the student's name. Where this long silence, and then, we'll have to call you back, and we're finishing up with the family now. Very weird. They never called me back. I will pay you for it as a teacher, LOL. Shoot me an email. Let me put my email in the chat. Shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. It's like it's a Google Doc. I'm putting my email in the chat, but it's hard to type because everything's in the way. Yeah, shoot me an email. I'll send you the study guide thing. It's like basically it's a doc with, like, links to videos by topic and, like, Quizlets by topic and games and all that stuff. It's really cool. I just posted it for my former students. Actually, I should check and see if any of them commented. Anyway, focus. Today, my Pattern app, or maybe it was CoStar, one of my astrology apps, was like, paying attention is a form of discipline, and I felt so fucking attacked by that. I grew up in a data-driven school and refreshed power school grades every 5 minutes. Since middle school, got a 4.0 GPA, but also depression and no direction in life since graduating. Yeah, I very much grew up in a score-heavy environment. It wasn't standardized testing, but it was just, like, grades. So I think that kind of impacted me as a teacher, too. I cared a lot more than most teachers. Okay. So they said your name in front of these people, and then they didn't call you back. Terrible. They know what they did. Now this person can see me daily at dismissal, and I had to push to get my afternoon duty changed so that way I would no longer be seen by them. I'm blown away by the blatant danger they put me in to be confronted by this person. Even in our small community, I'm afraid I'll run into them. This is in Florida. Live, laugh, Florida. Hate it here. Stop reporting to ICE. Yeah, don't report people to ICE. I don't care what they did. Don't do it. Sitting here sobbing because I just found out that one of my students' dads got reported to ICE by a counselor, and he's from the Ukraine. Oh, God. Read the room. I don't know if the U.S. is deporting to Ukraine right now. I don't think we are. Not 100% sure. But my student is terrified, and honestly, so am I. This might be the one thing that makes me quit. Let me remind you, I'm in a sanctuary city, and this is a sub in northern USA. probably a major Northeast city, if I had to guess. Okay, content warning, homophobic slurs. Lots of content warnings on this one. It's brutal out here, God. And we're like really plugging and chugging. We're getting through it. My computer's not going to die. I'm proud of myself. Sorry, I ran out of breath. My experience is not with public education, but private education. I found private education to have some crazy horror stories just due to the fact that it's almost entirely unregulated and the people at the top are corrupt. The rest will be too. My particular school was a private school in Delaware. I attended that school from 3rd to 11th grade. I'm finally out and living a life free from it. They focused on classical education, which to explain in simple terms means we read a lot of Greek and Roman stuff and learned Latin instead of a useful language. I learned Latin. It helped me with the SAT. However, the school was also a Christian school and had a lot of harmful doctrine infused in all of our lessons, especially our history and social studies classes, of course, always. Additionally, we would have theology class every day, which is where my first story begins. This happened in 2019. I was in my theology class, and the teacher had put on some Christmas music for us to listen to while we worked independently. Something by Sam Smith came on, and he asked us who they were. We answered, and the teacher proceeded to use the F slur against Sam. Like, just shut the fuck up. Like, literally just shut the fuck up. Like, you can literally sit at your desk and play, like, trivia or, like, solitaire on your phone. You don't have to be doing this. You can literally just shut the fuck up. When confronted by several students, he claimed that it was fine because his gym teacher used to say it. I know I take all my social norms and cues from my previous gym teachers. That's a very normal thing to do as an adult. That's a really normal way to live your life and believe things. So normal. So normal. If you love your kids, do not send them to a private and Christian school. It'll traumatize them, I can guarantee it. I was actually raised by my previous gym teacher. Wait, really? I don't know if you're joking or not. He told the girls that stood up that if they truly believed gay marriage was good and dandy, this is your story? Oh my God, hi. Oh, you're joking. Okay, that's what I thought. If they truly believed gay marriage was good and dandy, they were truly evil people and would be going to hell. He also got them suspended. How? Bro, what is with these private schools? Like, it's literally like, I heard her talking about the devil. Like, what's that book where the Salem witch trial vibes, where it's like literally you can just say something and everyone's like, oh, burn her at the stake. See them in hell. It's gonna be lit. Oh my God. Later on, the girls had to leave the school because of this conflict because of how this conflict affected her reputation. One of the female teachers there warned her that if she ever wanted to go to college, she would transfer because people here were too set against her. Overall, the school was generally like this. Those who weren't in the favor of the staff were set up for a rough time. The children of the staff and other well-liked students would receive all the awards, unfair help on test or homework, extra time on assignments, and other benefits like that. In addition, the material being taught was highly infused with religious indoctrination. The Crucible. Yes, that's it. I can't remember a history class where I learned actual history and not the theology of time. Rather than learning about Western civilizations, we learned about theology from Western civilizations. In addition, the school merged with another private school from my 8th to 10th grade year, and the two principals had a massive falling out. They should make a TV show out of this, and I should produce it and star in it. That really affected the entire student body. Imagine being a kid and like the two principals of the private Christian schools are beefing. Like they tried to make a mega private Christian school, but now they're beefing. Like Real Housewives style. That's fucking crazy. It literally would make an entire TV show. Exactly. Because like what? Like it's a private school. Didn't you guys decide to merge it? Like, why are the girls are fighting? Like, if you decided to merge it, why are there problems? Because it's a private school, so you could have just not merged it. Like, I get public schools, sometimes the government's like, fucking figure it out. But it's a private school, so like, you could have just not done it if it was going to be a problem. Like, if it was going to be a problem, just don't do it. That really affected the entire student body. It became a very dramatic and toxic situation where families were forced to pick between the two schools, and those who chose a certain school over the other could be ostracized. Oh my God. For administrators, this is the most immature behavior I've ever seen. That's crazy. The principals are beefing. The girls are fighting. The principal of my Christian school once almost got in a fist fight with the principal of a local public school. Over what? Aaron Helsing, I have to know what possibly escalated to the level of the private Christian school principal fighting the public school principal. Football. Of course. I don't know why I even asked. I don't know why I didn't just fill in the blank on that one. Of course it was. Of course it was football. It's always fucking football. And I love football. Like, I was, like, on the sidelines with my kids and took all their pictures. My first year teaching, I grew up going to UGA games. I love, like, it's fun. I don't understand it, but I like it. And, like, why do we have to escalate it to that? Like, even as a person who enjoys it, like, it was never that serious because it's literally a game. Like, it's literally a game. Like, we're literally doing it for fun. Like, it's literally just for fun. So, let me recruit your quarterback. No, punch. That's fucking crazy. Okay, for administrators, this is so immature. There were multiple emails sent out to both student bodies about the split and what the other principal did wrong. What, like a fucking burn book? Imagine using your school's email list as a literal burn book. Imagine being like, do not trust the fucking principal of the other school. Imagine typing that and then hitting send to a fucking email list where people are paying money. If I was a parent and I received that email, I'd be like, I'm sorry, how much money have I given you? And you think this is a fucking appropriate thing to email me? Like, what's wrong with you? There were multiple emails sent out about what the other principals did wrong, and one of them even preached a sermon about it at his congregation because he was also a pastor. Okay, this is actually a cult. Like, the school and the church are the same thing, and the principal is the pastor. This is a cult. Like, what? I need to come here. Like, I want to work at this school just to observe it. The same dude also allowed 6 12th grade transfers from that public school because he lost a bet. I teach those kids. They were very fighty. My old college had to send an all function and it basically a burn book, shadier because no names could be used. Don't work there because they literally won't pay you. I just want to go undercover for like a week. I can go a week without money. We would frequently lose heater air conditioning and still have to come into school every day. Why are people paying money to send their kids here? I remember having to wear 2 pairs of socks in 4th grade because our heater was broken and it would get too cold without them. We also had mice, roaches, and a bunch of other nasty pests. While public schools, they're at least the bare minimum being enforced, but for private schools, there seems to be way less regulation about the conditions of the building, the teaching provided, and how students and staff can interact. It just makes me so happy that you're using your platform to give people like me a voice. I literally jumped at the opportunity and have to share my story and have many more. Please share all the more that you have because this Delaware Valley Classic School, I need to know so much more about this because this is literally batshit crazy that the principals were beefing in the email list. Like, that is blowing my mind. Okay. When I was student teaching, we had a student who was kind of shy. Her mom emailed us demanding that we never make her read aloud in front of the class. I get anxiety too, so we were fine with it. We tried to have her read to the teachers in private when progress monitoring. That feels like a really appropriate compromise. Just read in private with the teacher. Cool. Then the mom came to the school, this was during COVID where parents weren't even allowed, and screamed at my cooperating teacher and I for trying to embarrass her daughter by making it and trying to make her read for us. The thing is, we were trying to progress monitor. She didn't even read. Parents are insane. If it is broke, please fix it. This isn't my specific experience, but I saw Greenville, South Carolina brought up last time, so I wanted to speak on the system in our whole state. Many people don't realize this, but our education funding is based solely on property tax of the local area. Therefore, rich neighborhoods have higher taxes, so the schools get way more money. Something that I was taught in college is the corridor of shame, and it breaks my heart. Okay, interesting. Along Highway 95, the area is very rural, so there's very little funding. The ongoing issue with a documentary produced back in 2013, and no one seems to do anything about it. Children often read science books from the 70s or sit on storage containers as a makeshift desk. Oh my God. The building's in absolute decay and shambles. We never have enough teachers, and they get paid terribly. Even at my nice school, teachers were allowed 1 ream of paper a year. What are you going to do with 1 ream a year? Literally, what can you even do with that? I just wanted more people to know about the situation because those kids and teachers deserve school buildings that are safe. That is the bare minimum. And but I think it's interesting how on the other one it was like, oh, private schools, the buildings are so unsafe, at least public schools are regulated. But then a lot of times public schools really don't be following the regulations. Like, the regulations are there, but are they enforced is a different question. We never have enough teachers, so they get paid terribly, even at my nice school. Oh, I already read this. I just wanted more people to know about the situation because God, I'm illiterate. In the area of the state I'm in, there's plenty of problems, but it's like night and day compared to the corridor of shame. I have a video to help visualize the problem, but the doc is unfortunately something you can only buy a DVD of off Amazon. Makes the state look bad, and we can't have that, huh? But I would really love it if you could boost the info, because the news always talks about Texas or Florida, Florida, or Alabama, but South Carolina is just as bad, if not worse, in our education system. I'm going to copy these links and send them to you all. No. Come here. Is it going to let me? Hold on. I'm going to copy these and send them to you in the chat. I'll post them in the description on YouTube as well. Okay. An advocate for education and soon to be a grad student. Congratulations. Okay, America is a third world country with a Gucci belt on. But some people in the chat earlier, I agree with their sentiment. We don't even have the Gucci belt anymore. I think we have like a knockoff Gucci belt is what I think as close as we are, you know. Also, shout out to everyone that's subscribing. I really didn't think I had subscribers on here. I was like fully expecting to get like one. But there's like a significant number of you. And really, that's fucking cool. Like, I'm really grateful for that. Thanks for like spending money on me. That's the fake Gucci. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Love you. Continue. I'm mad and disappointed. Last year I was doing leave replacement in a very white, rich, conservative town where the kids most definitely thought that their shit didn't stink. I was doing 7th grade social studies, and the apathy over slavery was a guest belt. Yes, we are in a guest belt. I keep having to burp. Am I dying? Is anyone a doctor? Am I dying? I need water, but my water's in my room, and my water's gross right now, and the ice melted, and I need to get a new one, but I need to clean my water bottle. There's just like too many tasks for me to get water right now. Okay, let's go back to this person being mad and disappointed who's from Long Island, and I will shut the fuck up. Okay, so last year I was doing leave replacement. I was doing 7th grade social studies, so I was getting frustrated. We spoke about what crops were booming in the South, like cotton, tobacco, indigo, etc., the impact and the demand that had on enslaved populations. I showed them the trailer for 12 Years a Slave to help visualize what went on with slave codes and slave catchers. I only showed the trailer because like it's rated R and they're 12. Did I show the trailer of that? No, I showed a trailer of a different movie. I told them it wasn't a movie for entertainment, but once again, the apathy was palpable. I told a few kids off just for being really rude and giggling through it. Well, that resulted in one of the girls in the class going to my principal saying I was showing them inappropriate content and had sexually harassed her and called her a slut for wearing ripped jeans. Kids be lying. That's one thing. Kids be lying. I'm literally 25 and would never call anyone a slut for ripped jeans. Like what? My principal questioned me about my conversation surrounding jeans. I had no idea what she was talking about, and I was like, oh yeah, like cotton and indigo. That's something I would do. I'd be like, yeah, of course. And she was like, no, something about being a slut, and I nearly shat myself. The girl eventually admitted to full-on lying about me and making the whole situation up because she was annoyed. My principal never gave her less than a slap on her wrist, no detention, just had to write me an apology, which I literally never got. I like how the punishment is like, write an apology. Unless you don't feel like it, then it's fine. So when I left the school, I left when the school year was done. Oh, and after that, they refused to actually pay me as leave replacement because the teacher was using sick days instead of going on leave. So I got shorted $13,000 for the year. That's a lot of money. $13,000 is a lot of money. Like, I think $20 is a lot of money, but it's like objectively, like, that's not that crazy, but $13,000 is like a life-changing amount of money when it comes to a yearly salary. Like, that's about the amount of a raise I got, and it's like dramatically going to change my lifestyle. Like, that's a lot of money for a year. Okay, content warning, threats of gun violence. The video did lie. To preface this, I teach upper elementary. On Monday afternoon, I got a message from a parent on Class Dojo. That's like an app that primarily early education people use to communicate with parents, post updates, give things like that. Specifically, that her student had been threatened $13,000. That's the difference between living under the poverty line or not. Yeah, it really is. Okay, let me focus. One Monday afternoon, I got a message from a parent on Class Dojo that her student had been threatened on Friday. Specifically, another student told this kid during unstructured time that he was going to bring a gun to school and shoot her. Admin had been informed on Friday evening, and it is now late Monday morning, and the parent is informing me. This would happen to me all the time. Like, crazy shit would happen, and I was always the last person to know about it. Always, a kid would tell me, or the one of them would, like, send it to me on Instagram. And I was like, oh, maybe an administrator could have given me a heads up about anything. Nothing from admin. The parent wants to know what's being done about the situation. Really valid point on the parent's part. If that was my child, I would do the same thing. Although I was in the middle of a class celebration, I immediately emailed both principals expressing concern and asking them to check in with me. After some time, the principal replies, actually, I would like to speak with the student. Please send her down. That's it. No additional information. Walking my socially anxious student, tag yourself, I'm the student, down. I got some more information out of her, thanked her for reporting it, yada, yada. By the time I got back to my classroom, I had another email to send another student down. Teachers, can I please receive communications about urgent matters? Admin. I just want to think positive. Positive vibes only. We don't write it down when bad things happen. So for me to email you, then there would be a record that it happened. And we shan't have that. We surely cannot have that. No records of bad things happening, just vibes. Then nothing at all until dismissal time when I was trying to get all of my students packed up. If you have worked elementary school, you know this is one of the worst times of the day. I hate, when I taught early Head Start, I hated having to move locations. Because, like, it's just so hard. They literally can't do it. Like, they can't do it. They can't put their jacket on. They can't carry their backpack. Like, it just takes so much. Oh, well, if they write it, it's a paper trail. Exactly. I literally got a message yesterday from a parent about a kid who went home in the wrong bus weeks ago, brought it up to admin, and they were like, oh, yeah, that happened. Like, thanks for the information. So annoying. Exactly. Like, you just, as a teacher, have a responsibility to know what's going on. Like, even if it's after the fact, you can't do anything, and it's already over, you should still know about it. Just because you need to know what's going on with the people that you're with every day. Like, it's just the correct thing to do for transparency. All right. Nothing until dismissal time. The principal then decides to give me only information about what she observed on the audio list security video at the time of the event, and goes to tell me that the student had obviously instigated the other student to say such a thing that they seemed to be mimicking, leaning in a similar way to him prior to this episode. When I expressed my concerns about this conclusion, stating that both my students are shy and reserved, she continued on about the video, although admitting that my students both had the exact same story. Like, you really can't tell from an audio list video, like, exactly what's going on, and if I had to guess, it was probably not very close up, not a great angle, probably pretty grainy, and, like, if both the students are saying the same thing, I don't even understand why the video is, like, relevant. Bottom line, she could not give me further details due to privacy. Victim blamed my student, who was very brave to report such a thing, justified gun violence threats with hypothetical mocking. Yeah, even if, like, the one kid was mocking the other kid, it's, like, still not chill. Okay, have you ever experienced an admin that passively aggressively makes one person's issues everyone's problem? Yes, I have. Yes, I fucking have. For example, if one person wears jeans on a Wednesday, the whole staff gets a lecture on work attire. Absolutely. That is the only management style any of my administrators had, really. Except for the one that I really liked. If you're watching this, you know, and I'm sorry that you're still there. Well, my school has taken a step further by responding to student issues in this way. There have been ongoing and somewhat aggressive cyberbullying issues stemming from one student. As a first-year teacher asked for guidance about this since the student is in her classroom. Admin response, your grade level should make an assembly on cyberbullying, reach out to our guidance counselor and ask her to head it up. Don't talk to the student individually, though. Her mom is scary. Here's another meme. Because, like, just because something's going to be uncomfortable doesn't mean we just get to not do it. Like, us having an assembly is such a waste of time. Because it's like, if it's really only one person, like, we just need to deal with it. And, like, yeah, moms do be scary, but, like, that's what we gotta do. Like, that, I bet the kid's doing it because mom is scary. You know what I mean? Like, these things are intertwined. So, like, we just gotta deal with scary mom. Sometimes that's the situation we're in, you know? It's like, that's your job, is to deal with not great things sometimes. So, like, you gotta do it. It's your job, you know? Okay. Cigarette burns. Trigger warning. This is not good. Okay, so my best friends went to the school a while ago. I went to the rival high school. We've all since graduated, and there was a special education student that was coming home from school with cigarette burns from one of the staff members. Are you even allowed to smoke on school campus? I don't even think you're allowed to smoke on school campus. Like, I really don't think you can. So there's like a lot of problems here. Despite the child's mother advocating for him, nothing was done. This is Livermore High School in San Francisco. That's crazy. Cigarette burns from a staff member? God. Content warning, violence and fighting. One time there was a fight at lunch and the entire student body sprinted and formed a crowd around the two girls that were fighting, which is just what you did when there was a fight at our school. Yeah, pretty much any environment there's a fight that happens. One of them got knocked into the benches and hit her head and had a whole seizure before admin got there, made local news and everything. This is Granada High School in Livermore, California. Content warning, groping, inappropriate touching, the bad touch. Personal space, please. My friend was groped every time she went to a certain class during class, and nothing was ever done about it. The teacher didn't notice, and eventually the boy got expelled because he stuck his thumb up a water polo teammate's bum in the pool during practice. Oh, literally, what the fuck? He ended up, I think someone submitted these in rapid succession. He ended up enrolling at Livermore High School, the other big high school in town, and got to move on like nothing happened. With my friend's permission, I messaged his mom on Facebook about it, and she never replied. What the fuck? Literally what? Yeah, to clean B, respectfully, what the fuck is exactly how I feel. Do you guys like this meme? I was pretty proud of this one. Again, not to make light of trauma, but, you know, just to make fun of the people not doing the right thing. Yeah, some of these are, like, literally batshit crazy. At the meme, not the finger. Accurate meme. Fire drill frenzy. This one got me. This reminded me a lot of my teaching experience. I'm a high school senior. Midway through the year, one of my teachers retired due to health issues. Pretty quickly, we had a full-time replacement teacher. However, admin had clearly not briefed her on anything. Her mentor teacher was in another department, so was not really any help to her. The only mentorship she had gotten was from veteran teachers across the hall who helps with curriculum and gave her a general introduction. On the first day I had her, we run on an A-B day schedule, so I met her on her second day working. We had a fire drill, and she had no idea about any of the procedures to follow. As the fire drill is happening, I'm explaining them to her and what happens and helping with what she needs to do. So clearly admin had not given her any kind of introduction or explanation on basic safety/general procedures. Additionally, our school is very large, about having 4,000 students in it, so very overwhelming and complex to process to make sure every student is accounted for. Yeah, the high school I went to had about 4,000 kids in it too. No hate to these teachers. I love them both, and it was fully admin's fault. I wish admin would take more responsibility to help guide new teachers in a friendly/conducive way. So not so okay fact, I actually never had a fire drill as a high school teacher. When I taught early Head Start, I had done a fire drill and an active shooter drill. I'd actually done 2 active shooter drills. We did one for one that was like outside the building and one that was inside the building. And I think we did 2 or 3 fire drills there. They were really big on being like compliant with everything. As a high school teacher, in 3 years, I did not do 1 fire drill. I did some active shooter, like lockdown ones, but I did not do 1 fire drill. No one ever explained to me, like, so my department head, because I asked, explained it to me, but no one ever, like, reached out to me to make sure I knew, like, where to take the kids or, like, where to go or what to do or anything like that, which is insane. Admin after giving new teachers 0 support or information. You got it. You're good, right? You're all good, babe. Still currently working towards my education degree, and I continue to be both excited but extremely worried about being a teacher. My first mentor teacher in the fall almost quit midway through the year because her kids were so far behind. They were 3rd graders at the level of 1st graders. Schools I've been to lack any resources to help with these kids because it's a shitty town and a low economic status. I work in a richer school now with kindergartners, and it's crazy because all these kids have all the resources in the world, and most of them are so ahead in their learning because of it. It's so hard to see how unfair schools are, and I've barely dipped my foot into education. Yeah, I've only ever worked in schools that are like in low income communities, and I feel like if I ever worked in a school in like a high income community, it would just like be really like, I would get angry all the time. Howard Zinn strikes again. I graduated from York Community High School a few years ago, and one of the teachers, Miss DiTomasio was recently harassed nonstop online and at school board meetings by a parent. The child of that parent transferred out of the class because he disagreed with her beliefs and criticized her for having the students read Howard Zinn's A People's History. I had a Republican-ass U.S. history teacher, and I grew up in a Republican-ass area, and even I read Howard Zinn's A People's History. Well, I was supposed to read it. I didn't. But, like, I thought, like, everyone read that book. I thought that was, like, a basic book that everyone reads, you know? Unpaid hours shouldn't exist. I agree. I have so many from this school year alone, but our school was having a ton of scheduling and coverage issues, and teachers were being left alone with full classes of kids, which is out of state compliance and out of our union contract. I went to my assistant principal to see if I could address these issues and she asked if I would redo the schedule. Another teacher and I spent 10 unpaid hours working on making an entire new master schedule for the building. We presented it to our assistant principal, and she approved it with a few changes and then called a meeting for us to present to the faculty for feedback. In the meeting, in front of my colleagues, she completely changed her story and gaslit us and told everyone I did this behind her back. What did you gain by that? What did you gain by literally just lying? Like, what did you gain by being like, yeah, sure, it looks good, here's a few changes, and then in the meeting being like, actually, I never said that, and you're lying? Like, that's what I mean. A lot of administrators would be doing a better job if they did nothing. Like, some of them do nothing, and it's like, do something. Like, do something. We have things to do. But some of them do stuff, and it's like, it'd be better if you could actually just sit in your office playing online poker every day. That'd be great. Thanks. Since then, she's rated me as unsatisfactory on my annual observations. So because she made you do unpaid work, and then she gaslit you, now you're getting rated as unsatisfactory? What a psycho. And refuses to greet me unless other people are around. I'll be lucky if she approves my tenure in April. Welcome to the great resignation of U.S. teachers. This is in New York City public schools. That's what I mean. Like, a lot of the really big districts and big systems in big cities have the most issues. So Prince George County Public Schools, I had a few submissions from them from last time, and so then when I streamed last time, I got a bunch more, so I kind of compiled all of them together. Actually, Evie compiled all of them together, but this is a PGCPS hate account. Now, okay, so one of our admin called ICE, that's immigration, which is crazy. One of our admin called ICE on a kid after his mom didn't show up for a parent meeting. There's so many reasons to not show up for a parent meeting. Flat tire, had to stay late at work, got sick, other child needed something. Like, that's batshit crazy. Hi, currently a student teacher intern in Prince George County, Maryland. Two things. Today on 3/8 on the morning announcements, our principal gave a message on International Women's Day in which she said how all our kids were made in God's image. Again, we are in a public school. Admins wouldn't have jobs if they worked in other fields. Yeah, they really wouldn't. Like, now that I work in a field that has, like, people that are actually good at things, I'm like, wow, y'all would not survive a day outside of the walls of this school. You would get fired immediately, just for a variety of things. So religion in public schools is something that I extra hate. Second, a couple weeks ago, my mentor teacher was out sick, so I ran all the classes for the day. The school is technically supposed to send a substitute. I am technically not allowed to sub while completing my program, but they never sent a sub, so I basically did all the work that the sub would do without any compensation for my labor. I'm not normally compensated because I'm student teaching, whole other issue. That is a whole other issue that we need to get into, but I'm pretty sure it was illegal for them to not send a sub and make me the teacher for the day. That's probably very much illegal. Okay, this is a two-part one. This is a longer one. I saw your last Twitch. I saw PGCPS in Maryland, and wow, do I have some stories. First of all, I've been a high school teacher for almost 10 years in 3 states, and for all the shit people up north give about people from the south about the poor quality of education, PGCPS is worse than either of the districts I've worked for down south. Every county has problems, and there are things that teachers and admin etc. can deal with, and things that they shouldn't ever be asked to do. Those requests and demands happen on a daily basis here, and I work at the best high school in the county. A student came to school strung out. He said it was weed, but there was no way he had that reaction from just weed. It had to be laced with something else. So he was referred to counseling. Counseling sent him back without calling parents. Bro, always. Like, that's someone's child. Someone has entrusted you with their child. Call parents. And said they couldn't do anything about it, and we as teachers needed to mind our business. MD is still under the Mason-Dixon line. They are not immune to the BS. Valid, but people above the Mason-Dixon line are also not immune to the BS in my experience. A student had not been to class all school year. She had a 0. Counseling referred her to admin for being AWOL. That means away without leave. Like, basically, you're not there, but you're supposed to be there. Admin said, and I quote, "Okay, and what do you want me to do about it?" And the parents have only been contacted by me multiple times. I then got screamed at by admin for the student having no grades at progress report time. All they care about is paperwork. Like, all they care about is their paperwork. All they care about is making sure that their boss doesn't email them. It's the only thing they give a shit about. The SPED coordinator was caught embezzling federal funds. They simply displaced the person to another school. They didn't even fire someone for embezzling federal funds. Jesus. A student comes into first period late every single day and has a 504. Mom asked where the child is during this time, and admin, who never attends these meetings, and the counselor said, "You can't expect us to know where your child is at all times." If I was a parent and a school employee said to me, "You can't expect us to know where your child is at all times," the way that I would become so violent in that meeting, because like you said, that's literally our whole job. Like, everyone makes fun of me for giving this answer. But whenever they would ask me PDs, like, what's your biggest priority in teaching? Like, what's the most important thing in a classroom? Whatever. Safety is always number one. It's such like a loser answer, but safety. Always safety. Without safety, you have nothing. And the basics of safety is knowing where every child is at all times. Like, that's the bare minimum of you doing your job. The mom asked if admin is doing hall sweeps and why they aren't contacting parents when children are in the halls and skipping class, and counseling said it wasn't an admin's job description, and then told teachers at the meeting if we want kids to be on time to class, we should use our planning to patrol the halls. Maybe you could do your job is another suggestion. When I was in middle school for a hot second, a child jumped out of a window after they tried to stab a teacher and the principal. We never went on lockdown. The child was safely returned to the school after being chased down the street by police and arrested. This is what I mean. So much stuff happens that's like literally crazy and no one finds out about it and it never gets reported. Also at the middle school, the principal threatened multiple times to call the cops on students if they were late to class unexcused, and would write up teachers who weren't reporting unexcused tardies. He watched the cameras like a hawk. That principal literally said, like, what if we made the school to prison pipeline 1 inch long and just started calling the cops on kids for being late to class? That's a reasonable reason to call the police. That's batshit crazy. The admins of my high school always did hall patrols. So when I was in high school, it was always administrators that did it. And when I taught high school, it was security that would do it. Like, it was never the teachers. My county just unenrolled a bunch of students for residency noncompliance in March after failing to deal with it at the beginning of the school year. I think this one was in my last stream too. We have so many new students. We have a quarter and a half left of school, and these babies aren't transferring in with grades. The teachers weren't told until the night before it happened at 9 p.m. Our superintendent has a Twitter. There's the superintendent's Twitter. I'm not going to tell you what to do with that. That's y'all's business. Anonymous teacher from Prince George County Public Schools. Content warning, gun violence. This is kind of a long one as well. Our resource officer would do it when it wasn't, oh God. Okay, Yo Dog, I was a student in PG CPS a few years back, and one of my friends sent me this form. I graduated from an alternative school because I'm not going to lie, I fucked around a lot in middle school, and honestly getting kicked out and sent to a different type of place was what I needed. Very self-reflective of you, thank you. Now I'm getting a tech degree and doing okay, which is cool. Love that. They're shutting down some of the alternative school. I went to Tall Oaks, which may be shut down because I swear the school board doesn't give a single shit about students, and they're for sure not students that don't go to Ruse. I don't know how to say that, which is like the pride of the county. They made sure everyone knows if you ain't a STEM kid, they don't care about you. Anyway, a bunch of us went to the school board, or we planned to anyway, to tell them a bunch of schools shouldn't be shut down because we do a lot of learning there, and a bunch of us were threatened. Like, we got all these calls from this random lady. She basically said, don't testify or else. A lot of the kids are still students. They were afraid of getting arrested or worse. Because of them, some of them are undocumented. It's common for ICE to get called on the low. There's a lot of people from this district saying that the district is calling ICE on people. Like, that's a lot of people that have said that at this point. This is supposed to be a Democratic county, but I swear to God, we got more snakes than, I don't know, some places with a lot of snakes. Some of the students have lawyered up, I think, but I don't have that kind of cash. Yeah, most people don't have lawyer kind of money just lying around. I sure as hell do not. Just want kids like me that were really great at school but messed around have a chance to be somebody. Oh, it's short for Roosevelt. Got it. Thank you. It's not like I don't like learning or whatever. I just didn't do good sitting in a classroom all day and had a bad group of friends. You can edit this for clarity if you gotta. I'm not the best writer, kind of because I didn't try, and mostly because the school system was rigged against people like me. After you get labeled, it's a lost cause. It's all over for you. I had a counselor tell me that in 4th grade I wasn't going to college. I want to fight that counselor so bad. And that kind of fucks you up at that age, to hear adults say that you ain't never going to be nothing. It wasn't ever my teachers, really. It was the counselors and the admin and the school board. My older brother is a football coach in another county, and he has great administrators, so I know it isn't everybody, but I never met one here that I trust until I got to the alt school, and they're trying to get rid of that. There's a lawsuit and everything because principals got fired or something. They didn't know they were working without pay or some shit. I'm not really sure. This shit has been going on for a couple years, and it's a fucking mess, dog. So this is an alumni of that school. So my mom actually grew up not in this county, but she grew up in Virginia, and so she knew about this school. And when I told her I got a bunch from them, she was like, oh my God, even when I was a kid, I would always hear things about scary things that had happened in those schools. I'm out of breath. So that was the last one. Questions? No. Okay. The link to submit these, if you want to scan this QR code, I don't know what kind of device situation you're on, it's also in my Twitch. It's in my bio and all that stuff. If someone wants to put it in the chat, I would appreciate that. But yeah, I'll let anyone stick around. I'll hang out for a little bit longer. Most people are gone. It is getting kind of late. There's only 50 of us left here. It's so intimate. But yeah, if you want to submit a story, do it in the QR code right there. If you have any questions, you want to add anything. Thank you, Quarter Life Crisis. You're the best. If you have any questions, you want to add anything, whatever, I'll hang out for a little bit in the chat. Let me look at TikTok. I feel like I've been really extra addicted to my phone lately. That happens to me sometimes, and I have to kind of chill out, and I'm definitely in one of those phases right now. I think working at a desk is making it worse because I'm on my phone a lot throughout the day. When I was teaching, I didn't have service in my classroom, so I was never on my phone, so I'm just checking it more, and it's not great for up here. My mom is a teacher and my dad is admin. They hate each other. Oh, I know that you are going through it. Oh, I can't. Oh my God, that's so much. And if you don't mind me asking, are your parents still together? Your mom's a teacher and your dad's an admin? Do they work together? Do they work closely together? Are they still together? I sent you a meme in my email about the review study guide. Thank you. I'm just no way sleeping with the enemy. Oh my God, that's terrible. They're still married, separate schools. I'm an adult now, so I don't have to hear it anymore. Bro, that's a lot. That's a lot for everybody involved. God, I could never. Sorry, I forgot to talk. I got to the school that just had the biggest scandal for the teacher slapping a student across the face. Feel free to submit that. Feel free. I'm not sure what you're referring to. I'm deeply concerned. My tech high school lost 3 career path teachers and just decided to shut down the career programs instead of paying salaries. I will say, I don't know if it's this way in every district, but in my district, individual school sites had no say over salaries. That was all a school board decision and all a district decision. So I sometimes would feel bad for principals because they're trying to staff a school, but the number one important thing to get staff is pay, and they have no influence over that. That would be very frustrating to be in that position, I could see. But I'm gonna go because I need to take a shower. I need to eat something for dinner. I'm gonna DoorDash something because I have no food in my apartment. I need to go to the grocery store. I'm going to Trader Joe's tomorrow. Does anyone have Trader Joe's recommendations? Feel free to drop them in the chat. I need to get a bunch of stuff that's super easy to make because I just I never have time. I never do. It was all over TikTok. He even got on Good Morning America. He didn't even get fired. He got early retirement and was bailed out of jail. Jesus. Our superintendent also quietly retired after embezzling last year. Get the mac and cheese, little pot stickers. I have the pot stickers right now. I like to put them in my ramen noodles, and I also put an egg in there. If there's been any of these stories, so like when I was teaching, I didn't keep up with education news at all because it was like so depressing to me, and I just could only handle like depression at work. I couldn't handle like other work sites depression. So if you like were in a school where something crazy scandalous happened, I probably don't know about it. Feel free to send it in. I'd love to chat about it. But yeah, the link, let me put it in the chat again. Quarter life crisis, dropped it a couple minutes ago. Let me find it. Shout out to Quarter Life Crisis. The link to the form is in the chat. I also just added another Google form to my link tree. It's not on TikTok, or it's not on Twitch. I can add it. It's on like TikTok and my Twitter and stuff. If you want to submit a house for me to review from like Zillow or whatever, feel free to do that. I love reviewing houses. But yeah, I love how my online presence has just turned into a group project. Really having a fun time with that. I'll see you again on Wednesday. Again on Wednesday, we're going to be learning about like the temperance movement and prohibition and all of that stuff. I sent you the longest submission last week, hoping to see it next week. Remember to cite most of our sources. Awesome. So far, I've gotten like 190 submissions, and this, like the last one that we looked at was 150. So the next one, yours will definitely be in that one if you submitted it and it wasn't already in this one. But yeah, I'm excited for the Prohibition Mafia stuff too. It's a really good lesson. I put a lot of effort into it. It has tons of memes in it. But yeah, I need to go to sleep because unfortunately I still have my day job. But have a good night. Peace and love. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Don't do anything to add or subtract from the population unless you're excited to add to the population and it's going to be a gift, you know? My little sign-off worked better with teenagers. Okay, I'm going to go. Love you. Bye.